Welcome, everyone. I am Chris Gore. It is Friday for the Friday Film Threat Livecast. Yes, I am pre-coffee, but we're going to have a good show today. A lot of films to talk about. It's crazy, actually. First, we're going to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 at the box office. Where will it land? Is Marvel fatigue real? We're going to get into that. Plus, a bunch of films that we're going to discuss, including Squaring the Circle, the story of Hipgnosis. It's a documentary that I saw, and I'm dying to tell you about it. Also, Blackberry, Fool's Paradise, Polite Society, Book Club The Next Chapter, Hypnotic. We have so many films to discuss today. It's going to be crazy. Crazy weekend at the box office. Strap yourself in, grab your coffee. I might need a second cup. Alan is here waiting in the wings. Ms. P Coffee is in the chat. She's highlighting the best comments. And our mods are out there, including Lord Thoth. Shout out to the mods. Including Lord Thoth, among others. Let's get the show started. It's Friday. I need more coffee. Alan, you're here.
I'm exhausted. I am exhausted.
Okay.
And I screwed up the Rumble stream again, so we're not on Rumble this time.
We got to figure out the Rumble situation.
No, the Rumble situation is we have to click the Rumble button, and I thought I did, and I didn't, and so we're not on Rumble.
Okay, so reminder to Alan. Everyone remind Alan. Alan, you have to be ready to Rumble. Yeah. That's what you have to do. You got to be ready to Rumble.
Oh, no, hey, never mind. I think we're on. Yeah, actually, we're on. Okay,
good.
Okay, we're good. Never mind. We are on Rumble.
All right. Alan, you had a big day yesterday. Before we get into talking about Guardians and box office, we'll say hi to people in the chat. You saw like 3 movies yesterday with like 10 minutes in between.
Yes. Yeah, I was it's LA Asian Pacific Film Festival is going on right now, and they've moved everything to the LA Live, or the Regal at LA Live. And I was going to go see a couple movies from the festival. You said I need to see Hypnotic, so I did that. And then there's one movie that fit perfectly in between Hypnotic and Raging Grace, which was the festival film, and that was Book Club 2. And it's like, well, I got 2 hours to kill, might as well see Book Club 2. And then finally the horror film from LA Asian. So I'm barely staying awake right now.
Okay, so what were the land acknowledgments for Book Club 2?
Oh my God. So apparently LA has land acknowledgments, and so they show this when they start the trailers, the screen turns black and it says, okay, everybody, close your eyes and breathe in. Cast away all your memories and all your, all the crap that you've been dealing with. Now breathe out. And then it gets into the land acknowledgement. It's how the people have been colonized, how their land was taken away from them, how they never gave up the land, and it just became this really obnoxious thing. And part of me is like, I ain't white, so I didn't do this. and B is like, what's the end game? What's the end goal? Do you want it back? Would you like your land back? Is that
no? They want you to feel guilty. The funny thing is, my relatives all came here. My great grandparents all came here in the early 1900s, when there was kind of a mass exodus. There was a lot of immigration coming from Europe at the time to the United States. That was covered in the documentary Godfather 2 at the beginning of the film with Vito Corleone. Anyways, my relatives came here in the early 1900s, so I didn't get to colonize anything. I feel it's so weird how people want to put people, take a group of people, put them in a class, and they're all this. Like, even when you say white people or Asian people, do you know how many different types of Asian people there are?
Oh yeah. I mean,
I
look,
don't, but you do.
yeah, my immigration experience is exactly like yours. My grandfathers came to America in the early 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, certainly there was racism that they experienced. There was, you know, the mass lynching of Asians, of Chinese in Los Angeles. But we're not hung up on that. I mean, my God, you
Wait,
know,
did you say you're not hung up?
yeah, we're not hung up on lynchings. Uh,
I just read, I was wondering if you said that on purpose.
no, I did. That was, but
That was a
it's
slip.
like, guess what? You know how we survived. You know how we survived as immigrants in the early 1900s. We outsmarted white people, and we took their money. That's
Good.
how. You know, my grandparents, when both sets came to America, they had large families. Every single one of their children went to college. That's how hard they worked. That's how much they wanted a better life for their children, and all of them went to college. My mother was on the forefront of computer science in the 60s. You know, she was basically the Hidden Figures, but in Los Angeles and for Chinese. You
Oh,
know, that
wow.
was my mother and my father. You know, you talk about you and your father would watch Star Trek. Well, my father was too busy sending a man to the moon. You know, that's what my dad did.
But it's funny because when they make the movie about your mom, they're gonna cast a black actress. That's pretty much how they just do everything, right? Like
Much.
Cleopatra, the big controversy over Cleopatra, and apparently like Egypt, the country, is upset about this with Netflix. I don't know. I just think it's just gotten to ridiculous extremes. You
Well,
know,
in terms of the movie about my mom, I will tell you that if Hollywood continues their tradition, my mom will be played by Margot Robbie.
There you go. All right, there you go. That's, oh my God. Yeah, I don't know. I think the land acknowledgements is it's a white liberal thing, and it's stupid. And I wish they would stop. Because because the point, I don't know, is to show how good we are. I don't know. It's
the virtue signaling. I mean,
right,
look,
right.
it started with the land acknowledgement, and now yesterday during the festival was this has been going on the entire festival, but everyone who goes up has to identify their pronouns. And then yesterday we were told, yesterday we were told, okay, now you need to start using your pronouns so we can normalize this. And I go, dear God, please don't normalize this. And then all the movies I've seen so far have been from the Philippines, and yes, they use the term Philippines or Filipinx.
The Filipinx. Oh my God. People hate that. Didn't San Diego Comic-Con did a thing where they sent out a social media post over Twitter. They used the term Filipinx, and then they got roasted for it because people are like, nobody uses this term.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing is the Filipinx, that there was a panel and it was right after ours at San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's right. All right. Yeah, we will be at San Diego Comic-Con. Fingers crossed that we get a panel. Probably not now because, you know.
Yeah, I just ruined it.
We just ruined it by letting people know we're kind of not down with the current trends. So there you go. I mean, it's fine if you want to do it, but, you know, it's also fine if we kind of have a discussion about how ridiculous it is. Let's see who's in the chat today before we get things started. Imperfect is here, who's a member. Can we have Alan take one for the team and review Cleopatra? Did you want to do that, Alan?
You mean the historically accurate Cleopatra or the one that's coming out?
Yeah, the one with Elizabeth Taylor, which probably
I'll watch that one. I'll watch Cleopatra with Elizabeth Taylor.
She's just a big actress at the time, Liz Taylor. So that's why, you know, she was a very
she was money. She was money.
Trying to make a mainstream Cleopatra movie, you're going to cast a star, and Liz Taylor at the time was a star. So I don't know, Alan, will you review Cleopatra?
When is it coming out? I mean, I suppose
it's on Netflix. How about
this right now?
How about this? We'll both watch the first episode or two.
Oh, dear God, it's a series?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have time.
The thing is what does the chat want? What does the chat want? Maybe Ms. P. Coffee can put up a poll. Should Alan and Chris review Cleopatra on Netflix? Yes or no? We'll do a
I feel
poll.
like these are foregone conclusions. we already know.
No, we'll do. We're gonna do a poll. The chat is always right. The chat is always right. Okay, let's go. Mike MC Wong, who I hung out with last night at the AMC Burbank 16, where we all saw the movie Fool's Paradise as part of our AMC Burbank 16 movie meetup group. Every Thursday, it's the Film Threat movie meetup group, and I appreciate that Mike is a part of it. He says, hi, y'all. Daniel Sweet, Guardians 3 was much more fun and entertaining than I expected anything from the MCU to be these days. Yeah, excluding Spider-Man No Way Home. Let's take that out of the equation. It is the best Marvel film since Endgame. It just is. I know they're using that in the marketing. It seems cheesy. It's actually accurate. It's the best of Phase 4. I don't know that there is a best in Phase 4, but it's the best we've seen of new Marvel stuff. And I think probably the last good thing we're going to see for some time, unfortunately. John Manilang, shout outs to an awesome episode of Critics Court. Hail the Honorable Judge Frank Gore and Ace Attorney, Mr. Alan Ng. I will say this. We're doing Critics Court. We're still kind of making it up. We are still figuring out what the show is. So when I see all these criticisms, I think these are good suggestions. These are very good suggestions. And so I'm listening, and I say, well, by the time we get to the end of the trial, it'll actually be like, I think we'll get there.
It'll be a legit court. That's what you're saying.
Well, I mean, look, it's partially a legit court, but it's also a debate show. And I want to rush and get to the debate. Yeah. I think it's fun, but I appreciate your patience with us kind of getting there and kind of getting, we're trying things out. Does this work? Exhibits. How do we do that? Do we have a lot of attorneys on a team? Do we just have like 2 attorneys battling it out? I don't have the answers to those questions because no one's ever done a show like this. Certainly we've seen courtroom shows in a real courtroom. I've never heard of like a court show that's like this. So yeah. Oh, and I should mention, we're going to be talking about a lot of films today, but we have the director. I cannot wait. The director of Blackberry is coming on the show today because the movie is out. Is that in the Blackberry director?
Yeah,
Matt Johnson is coming on the show. I cannot wait. It's going to be fun, man. And we'll talk about that movie, which I quite enjoyed. Getting through here. Ms. P. Coffee says, hello, everyone. She's setting up the poll as we speak. I'm so excited. Let us know when the poll is up, Ms. P. Coffee. Lord Thoth. Hey, thank you, Lord Thoth, for your service. Hi, everyone. Lord Thoth, one of our mods in the chat. We appreciate it. Brogu says, good morning, Film Threat. Has Anna finished her filibustering speech yet? I did. You know what? I did kind of step on her speech when I said, are we going to start with like when apes walk upright? Like I got a little, I maybe went a little too far, in my critique. But what can I say?
She had a full-on presentation. I knew where she was heading with all her stuff, but it was like, there's a lot of backstory there that I think could have been summed up faster.
It could have been summed up faster. I will say that she had the best presentation.
Yeah. Well, she had an actual presentation. Yeah.
She had the best presentation. So, so Ms. P. Coffee, should Alan and Chris watch Cleopatra on Netflix and review it? Yes or no? And there you go. All right, back to your comments before we kick off the show today. Imperfect says, Film Threat, let's flip and go. JTPRX says, happy Friday, all. Friday, all. Lord Thoth, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Join us as a member. We appreciate that reminder. The Shuggy, I've yet to see Chris post coffee. Well, it is the morning. I usually drink coffee between like 9 a.m. and noon. I'm kind of like, I'm booting up my drive, literally booting up. So there you go. Robert Paul Champagne, who's a member, and thank God I'm off work today so I can watch all the streams. That's great. Thank you, Robert. Let's see. Don't think we have Alan's stamina. Yeah, 3 movies in a row, Alan. You are nuts.
Yes. And Book Club 2 is a part of that.
Oh my God, I can't wait to hear your review. Duke Devil 95 has become a YouTube member. Thank you for that. Thank you for your membership. We're going to start doing a thing because you are the jury on Critics Court. We're going to have a jury stream that'll be for members only. I mean, if you're watching the channel, you're on the jury, but I want to have a jury stream where you can actually come on a live stream with Alan and I and talk to us. And that'll be a members only thing that we'll be doing. So we will share the StreamYard link in the members only tab. And then you can just join us to chat, and we'll kind of rotate people out, like give people like 5-10 minutes to be on, and we'll bring other people in, and it'll be fun as we get deeper in the trial. That'll be a really, really fun thing to do. Elliot Cecil for $4.99. The CNN Trump town hall interview was popcorn eating fun. The Orange Man is hilarious and made some salient points. I caught some clips from that. I thought it was funny. I think that they're caught off guard when he is just common sense, blurting out things that a lot of people think but are afraid to say.
Well, they're expecting the political answer from him when it's just...
He doesn't care. He's not even president now. He can say what he wants. I liked his comments about the war in Ukraine. He wanted to end the war. I thought it was very common sense. Ken Bogus for $2 for Alan not to watch Cleopatra. Well, there'll be a poll. We're going to see where the poll results are going. So we'll see, Ken. Lori Ormond for $5. Contribution towards Alan's Red Lobster gift card. Well, Alan has to earn that Red Lobster gift card. All I thought about was, what is the worst restaurant? And I was being sincere when I said the best thing at Red Lobster is the bread. They have this kind of like this bread that they have that's like toasted and has, I don't know what it is. It's like Parmesan is on it or something. Yeah. And it's really good bread. And I'm thinking, like, a seafood restaurant, the best thing they have is bread.
I've never been impressed with Red Lobster. And I'm a seafood guy. I love seafood. Red Lobster and Bubba Gump, the worst seafood restaurants.
Well, I think it's because they're just chain restaurants. So you're not going to it's all frozen. It's all like packaged, and you might as well just go to the store.
Yeah, we went to San Francisco, Pier 39, Bubba Gump, and we got frozen fish.
Yeah. Let's see. Attack of the Duck, better than Cats, says Uncle Doug's channel. Thank you for that. Soul Bear, your torture of watching Cleopatra is our enjoyment and happiness. Jason Delgado, hey, looking forward to the Blackberry review and interview. Maybe I'm biased since I reviewed it for Film Threat. Well, thank you, Jason. Jason is one of our part of the Film Threat army of writers. Jason has been to many events with us at Comic-Cons. I assume he'll be at San Diego Comic-Con, and it's great. Yes, we'll get to Blackberry, and we will talk to the director today. Dennis writes, someone needs to rein in Star Wars girl a bit. She's like a rabid hound, lol. No, I like it. I don't want to rein her in at all. Let her go. She was going for blood, and everyone else was being too polite. I think it's because we're still trying to feeling out the format. I promise you, there are people that we've booked for future Critics Court episodes that it's going to get off the rails. I mean, partially what I'm trying to do is orchestrate chaos, because I want people who don't normally debate each other to actually debate and defend their views. I see people rage and debate on social media all the time. I want those people to talk to each other, actually talk to each other. So there you go. Jocelyn says, I'm half Filipino. You mean Filipinx?
Yeah, Filipinx. Yeah.
Thank you, Jocelyn X. I'm joking. Obviously, I'm joking. John Manalang, I abhor the term Philippine X. I'm a native Filipino. Yeah, it's weird because what it is it's sort of a white liberal thing of colonizing other languages. Can I put it that way to make it sound horrible? I'm trying to make it sound horrible. It's incredibly narcissistic to try to change another culture, which has the masculine and feminine. Look, I took Spanish for 2 years in college. There's, Latina, Latino. It's a masculine, feminine, those the romance languages, so to speak, and Filipino. I don't know why people are doing that. And John, I agree with you. Stop trying to change these other cultures, and it just doesn't make sense to me. I would respect other cultures rather than try to change it. I think that's utterly ridiculous. Davina Duckworth, identifying as successful and hardworking. Yes, that is a good thing to identify as. Toasty Danny.
Yeah, Tootie is from Facts of Life.
Tootie's great. Toasty Danny says, finally saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Might be the most disappointing movie of the year so far. It was not all that good and rather badly written, including the established characters. That's fine. I enjoyed it, but mainly because I really thought it was going to be terrible, and it was not. It was not. And Immortal Remus, I'll be seeing an exclusive early screening of Hypnotic at my local cinema on Monday. We'll have fun, Immortal Remus. All right, let's get into the box office for Guardians of the Galaxy. Alan, will you pull up the current box office for Guardians of the Galaxy?
Okay.
So can you find that, Alan?
Yeah, I'm trying to find that.
Okay. See if you can find
that was something you'd be...
Alan, can you find it?
Yeah.
Alan, looking for the box office for Guardians.
Yeah. No, I'm
Did you find it yet? Could you share screen?
Yeah, I can. Here we go.
Alan, quickly, 10 seconds. Alan. I know you can find it, Alan. I know it. I believe in you. Alan, please pull it up. Did you find it?
Yes, I did.
Oh, wait, you did find it. All right, well, then why am I still playing this? Okay, good job. I appreciate that. Everybody loves Alan.
Hi, Dad, I miss you.
There you go.
Aw.
Let's take a look at the box office. Last weekend, people are saying that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 underperformed. I think it performed exactly as predicted. It was predicted somewhere around 110. It ended up being 118 million for opening weekend. It currently stands at, this is worldwide gross of 365 million. That's 145 million domestic, 220 million worldwide, 365. Will this movie, how will this movie do in its second weekend? What's the second weekend drop going to be? We'll talk about it next week, but which is probably why we need a Monday show. We need, we could do a show called Monday Movie Talk, Monday Movie Mayhem. I don't know. We'll figure it out. MMM. But I think this will do slightly better than Ant-Man 3. There's something against it though. It's one, the running time. Ant-Man 3 was like 2 hours and 5 minutes. This is 2 hours and 30 minutes. That is a turnoff. Second turnoff. This isn't a movie for children. It's not for children. We didn't even talk about the ending. Yeah. There's some pretty horrific things in the ending. A couple of things. One, and we are talking spoilers here. So if you have not seen it, I'm going to give you 3, 2, F 1. You! I don't know why I said that. But we're going to be talking spoilers here. So if you want to leave or you actually don't care, I think a lot of people, what's weird about spoilers, you bring it up these days. People are like, yeah, I don't care. Go ahead and spoil it for me. I don't care. But there's a horrific scene at the end with the High Evolutionary whose face gets physically ripped off. And he has a sort of half skull meat face. And he's talking. Children are not going to respond positively. Additionally, the animal experimentation will also be shocking because animals die in this movie. I mean, it's one thing, you can kill 1 million sentries in a film, right? Or white men. You can just like mow down a bunch of white men. Nobody complains. You kill one dog in a movie and people get upset. But there are more than a few animals are, meet their demise in the film. And oh wait, what happened?
Oh, I'm having a
computer issue. That's okay. We got the salient data. You know what? whenever I see people try to predict the box office, you can kind of tell if you've seen the movie. I think this is going to be a mixed bag. I'm not sure, because on the positive side, Guardians 3 is a better film than Ant-Man 3. It's a better film. It's also a longer film. That's something against it, 230, which means with trailers, you're looking at a 3-hour experience. Okay. The second thing is not for children. You could take kids to see Ant-Man 3. Kids. And when I say kids, whenever I refer to kids, I'm talking about single digit age. That's under 10 years old, right? Under 10 years old seeing this movie. I mean, this is definitely Guardians 3 is it's a hard PG-13, if that makes sense, with some scenes that are, horrific. I mean, I was shocked by some of the scenes in Guardians 3, that involving the animal experimentation. It's hard to watch that. Hard to watch some of that. But I think it's going to be a drop, but it's going to be about a 60% drop. 70% would be a disaster. Anything under 60% is going to be considered a win. Alan, do you have a prediction for the second weekend box office for Guardians 3?
Yeah. Let me also add to your list.
Please.
Marvel fatigue. I think people are tired of Marvel, and unfortunately, Guardians of the Galaxy is suffering from that. Is suffering from that mojo that Marvel keeps putting out. But in terms of what my prediction, I think it will do well. I think we're going to hit that 60% drop off. And so I don't think it'll go beyond that. Again, I'm not an expert. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think there's enough good in the film and enough good quality in the film to make people want to go back. But it's certainly going to outperform all the other Marvel movies, and it'll definitely be the best performing Marvel movie for a very long time.
Well, yes, I have no idea. Like, going forward, what do we have? Secret Wars on
the Marvels,
and the Marvels in November. The Marvels, which is coming out is it before or after Dune Part 2?
I think it's coming out the week after Dune, which is horrible. A horrible spot to be in. Yeah. And in terms of what's coming next, it will be Captain America: New World Order, and it will be the third one of Thunderbolts.
Right. Yeah.
Assuming they're not being halted by the strike.
Yeah. I think you're going to see that the next phases of Marvel, including, we haven't even talked about the Jonathan Majors situation. Many are saying the actor who played the High Evolutionary should just replace Kang. I thought he was very good. It's unfortunate he has such a difficult to pronounce name. Not something as simple as Jonathan Majors. That sounds like Jonathan Majors sounds like a superhero name.
Yeah.
Like Lee Majors, Jonathan Majors. But the actor who plays the High Evolutionary, what's his name again, Alan?
Oh, I have to look that one up. We're gonna you can play the music. I can just do it to find the name.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a good. He was very good. I think he was the best villain that we've seen since Thanos.
Yeah. Well, as long as he doesn't do any military commercials, I'm pretty sure they'll keep him. They'll hide all his secrets.
Yeah. Let's go to super chats and comments on Guardians here. Immortal Remus for £9.99. I too finally saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3, wanted to love it, but only ended up liking it. Because as soon as it was having depth and heart in scenes, it's instantly ruined by one of those annoying MCU jokes in the next scene. Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah. But I also think that fits into Marvel fatigue. That's like the Marvel formula, is to always do that because we expect that. And when we get what we expect, it's not surprising.
Yeah.
It just is kind of disheartening.
I always said it, but when the first Guardians came out, the Marvel movies, the superhero, Captain America, Thor, Avengers, it was all grounded. It was it was serious, deadly serious. And James Gunn comes in, takes us into space, and makes that the comedy, which is fine. Okay, so Earth, serious, space, comedy. The problem is they saw the success and the fun of Guardians of the Galaxy, and now they took the comedy and brought it to Earth. And I think that ruined the tone overall of Marvel. And I think I don't know. I just hate the fact that they keep leaning into that. You've got to tell serious stories.
Yeah. Thank you, Immortal Remus. We appreciate it. Steve Frampa for 5. Can I call you Frank Gore like Sober D2 does? Sure. Call me Frank. It's fine. It's Frank was a decent running back for the San Francisco 49ers. I don't know. Is he still on the 49ers? I'm not sure. I got to get myself a Gore jersey for the 49ers. Jay Way, High Evolutionary should just be the big bad. He could still be alive and seek revenge on Rocket and Quill, which he targets Earth 616. That would be good. I think that actor is just better. I'm sorry. I think he's just much better. Solomon Thornton, Chris and Alan, what is your issue with 2-hour films? Because Lord of the Rings and Dune are long films. Also, how would you manage a 2-hour film? Well, here's the thing. Lord of the Rings, I expect epics. Dune is an epic. Lord of the Rings is an epic. Both are based on books. I expect those movies to be 3 hours. I was disappointed when Dune Part 1 was only 2.5 hours. The expectation for the length of certain movies is your standard issue movie, drama, whatever, should be 2 hours max. A comedy should be 90 minutes max. An epic can be 3 hours plus because it's earned, right? You know, I expect it to be a larger than life experience, like, you know, Avatar, Way of Water. So a certain type of movie, I have an expectation for a running time. But when I see a movie that's like a Judd Apatow comedy that's 2.5 hours or 2 hours and 40 minutes, I can tell you there's a really good 90-minute movie that could be cut from a 2.5 hour Judd Apatow movie. So I don't have an issue with movies that are 2 hours. It's types of movies. I think certain genres lend themselves better to certain running times. I think documentaries should be around 90 minutes, depending on the type of documentary. It could be a documentary series. The documentary I made, like one of the things that I laid out right at the beginning was we're going to make a 90-minute documentary. Now, when I say 90 minutes, maybe it kind of slides to 90, 95, 98, or maybe it's 88 or whatever. But in that range, I didn't want it over 98 minutes. I didn't want it under 80 minutes. It's got to be somewhere between 80 and 100 minutes. And so I kind of hit it right there, the sweet spot at 90 minutes. So I do think certain running times just feel right. Back when Spielberg and Lucas were in their heyday, their movies, they had their own rule. It was 2 hours. Movies had to be 2 hours. You look at Raiders of the Lost Ark, the first movie, you look at the Star Wars films, they're all 2 hours with the exception of Return of the Jedi, which is like 2:15, something like that, around there.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget that Star Wars, Indiana Jones, they were all during the time shot on film, projected on film. And so it was the amount of times you had to change the reel. And the longer the film was, the more often the operator in the back had to change the reel. Now that we're fully digital and reels are no longer needed, filmmakers now feel the obligation to use as much time as possible.
Your internet is
not really that.
Your internet, Alan. Someone in your household is uploading a video. They probably
should. You know what it is? I gotta stop searching the internet.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. Let's get through these other comments.
We know the runtime of Oppenheimer.
See, I wouldn't care if that one was 3 hours because it's an epic. It depends on the movie. It really depends on the type of movie. My expectation for Lord of the Rings and Dune is that they are longer. They're actually better films for being longer because they're sweeping epics. I mean, Dune was influenced, the book was influenced by so many things, but one of the bases is Lawrence of Arabia. Go watch Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah, I think Ben-Hur.
Peter O'Toole. Yeah, now I want to watch that movie. Now I want to watch that movie. I have that film. I might watch it today. The Nerd Far Away says, Chris is nailing it today. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Max One Up, who's a member, if a film is going to be over 2 hours long, it needs to justify the runtime. Dune Part 1 flew by, despite it being 2.5 hours. Yes, I agree. And then some films are 2 hours and feel like 2.5 hours. Like Everything Everywhere All at Once should have been 90 minutes.
Come on.
Should have been 90 minutes.
All right. By the way, Lord of the Rings and Dune, they're they're large books. So
Yeah.
I think there's an expectation that, the fact that Dune is 2.5 hours long and only part one of the first book,
Right.
says something about, wanting to capture the flavor of that book.
Yep. Hannibal Grimm, epics equals 3 hours and a goddamn intermission projectionist mic drop. I agree. I actually have no problem with movies being 3 hours if there is an intermission, but movies that are 2.5 hours feel like people had a lot of meetings and couldn't come to decisions. And Guardians of the Galaxy could be a much better 2-hour movie. I'm sorry. There are subplots that could have been cut out. I would have cut out the child trafficking thing. You didn't need any of that. It felt a little like the third act of Thor with all the kids. What's with all the kids now being thrown into these films? It doesn't make any sense. That was one of the worst parts of Thor, when all the kids suddenly had Thor's powers temporarily. It just, oh God. Oh my God. Let's not get into it. I don't want to revisit that. Anonymous says most modern writing is so bad that the shorter, the better. Agree. The Nerd Far Away is back. I agree with the Marvel fatigue. I'd go so far as to say that I've got franchise fatigue. Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Can't anyone just tell a story one and done? Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was, even the first Star Wars was like, well, we'll make one. I mean, if people want to see more, if it's successful, we'll make more.
Mm-hmm.
And George Lucas had written backstory, so he kind of knew vaguely where, Vader and Kenobi came from. He had to come up with that history. But yeah, you're right. Just tell one good story. If people want more, there'll be more. Ken Bogus, it's a lot of homework now to watch Marvel movies. I think that's also the reason people have fatigue. It's like, I don't want to have seen Loki season 1 to understand what's going on in the movies. And I don't care. All the offshoot stuff just seems like work. I only care about, when it comes to Star Wars, I only care about what happens in the movies. Even though I did read the Timothy Zahn books, I've read certain runs of the comics, and I'm familiar with certain stories. For example, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which I really enjoyed. That book when I was a kid is great. It came out like a year after Star Wars, and I couldn't believe it. It's, oh my God, this is the sequel to Star Wars. More adventures with Luke and Leia. Han was barely in it, but yeah. Yeah, you're right, Ken. Now James Mangold will explain the entire mythos of the Jedi. Eye-rolling emoji, says Aaron Taylor. Yeah, we'll see. Someone called it Passion of the Raccoon, says Andrew S. And let's see. Should Alan and Chris watch Cleopatra on Netflix? Currently, yes, 55%.
Wow.
No, 44%.
I'd expect it to be a little more
Whole
lopsided.
complete with 317 votes. I guess that means we have to watch it. I mean, we'll give a brief review. What's the harm in that? You know what? I can fold my laundry while I watch it. I will literally.
No, you need to pay attention. you need to give a good critique of this series.
And Shucksy, Threat Level 1, has been a member for 9 months. Hey, Shucksy says Monday Movie Talk with Chris Gore, Suck It Weber. That's a great name for a show. Yeah, Eric Weber has been, he's been a little bitch lately. He got very upset that we were all going to see a different movie than he had decided to see. And then he claimed in sort of this group chat that I left months ago, he says, Gore is not the head of this group. I'm not the head of anything. I make a suggestion. I say we should probably see this movie. This looks fun. I love Charlie Day. Let's go see it. But Eric gets very, it's like dealing with a very, it's someone who's very prone to drama. You know, he's like, he acts like a very persnickety girlfriend. Because he'll text me and tell me all sorts of information I don't care about. Like, I'm going to go to the gym, then got to stop by Costco and grab this, whatever. I'm like, why are you telling me this? You're my male friend. I don't need to know all of the ins and outs of your life. Like, also, by the way, I work during the day. So I have a lot of people during the day that want, the only person I want to talk to during the day when I'm working is Alan, because we work together. And we get into personal conversation too. But Alan I work with, that's my 9 to 5. I'm in work mode, but I have a lot of chatty friends. I'm talking to you, Britt, that want to just chat. I don't want to chat all day. I got shit to be, if it's something we got to, okay, fine. Just cut to the salient point. And Eric needs someone he can chat with. Eric needs an AI girlfriend is what Eric needs. So there you go. A few more comments here.
By the way, you were the week you were in Vegas.
Yes.
I was at the movie meetup on Burbank, and guess what? No one was there.
Because we didn't do it that week.
We didn't do it that week.
We didn't do it.
We did it every week, and I'm just saying, you're kind of the linchpin to this thing.
I you know what? I'm the reluctant leader. I'm the reluctant leader that you need. So I will be the leader, basically because of the weak leadership of Eric Weber. I will step into the role, and I will be the leader of the AMC Burbank 16 movie meetup group. It's just the way it is. Quick comments here. MK Solid 82 for $9.99. Chris, I grew up watching Plague Dogs. One brutal scene is when the dog accidentally blows a man's face off. It's very captivating film about dog's relationship to man that people should definitely see. MK Solid 82. Wow. I brought up this movie on another live stream. It might have been the Nerdrotic Nooner, or I think it was Real BBC with Az. Let me just throw this out here. And here's a recommendation for you. See the movie Plague Dogs. Why am I recommending this movie? Couple of things. One, Plague Dogs is made by the same animation team and the same producer who made the movie Watership Down. Did you love Watership Down? A very soulful film about the lives of rabbits trying to find a warren, family, avoiding danger from dogs, other brutal warrens of rabbits. Watership Down is a beautiful film, fantastic music. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. And then the same team of animators and filmmakers, including John Hurt. John Hurt does the lead voice in Watership Down. John Hurt also does a voice of one of the dogs in Plague Dogs. What is Plague Dogs about? It's about a place where animals are being experimented on. And one of the dogs, two of the dogs escape from this animal experimentation and has like almost like an exposed, like they're working on its brain, the dog. It's fairly gruesome. The dogs escape and a lie is put out that the dogs have the plague. They actually do not have the plague, but it's promoted in the media that the dogs have the plague. So it makes it more urgent to get these dogs, but mostly everyone just wants to kill these two dogs that have escaped an animal experimentation laboratory. And it's about the adventures of these two dogs. It's not as soulful and not as filled with wonder as Watership Down, but it's worth seeing. And I will say this, guess what? Plague Dogs is actually on YouTube for free. It is on YouTube. Many people don't know this. YouTube will actually have movies that are available to watch for free. Plague Dogs is one of those films. I recommend seeing it with a warning. But this movie, so the guy who made Watership Down then makes Plague Dogs, and it's from the producers of Watership Down. And the movie tanked at the time that it came out, which was the 70s. So, yeah, recommendation for Plague Dogs with a warning, and it's on YouTube for free. Check it out. Thank you, MK Solid 82, for your super chat and for bringing up that film. It's a difficult film to watch. John Hurt, you'll hear John Hurt's voice. He does the voice of one of the dogs. Absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. Let me get to more of these because we have to pivot. We have like 5 movies to review in an hour.
Yeah. Well, we could rush through a lot of these reviews.
We'll rush through them. Matthew Hammond for $4.99. Alan's favorite show got greenlit for a second season. I will enjoy his reviews of Quantum Leap.
Oh, I forgot that's back. Yeah, I kind of dropped out after the the first half season before they went and shot the rest of them.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah.
Just Nova 1138 for $4.99. I can appreciate the fact that Gunn was able to make a trilogy his way and accepts the good with the bad from his heart, which is gone in the MCU. Yeah, I think that Gunn was the heart of the MCU. He famously was one of the architects of the Infinity Saga, so to speak. And his absence at Marvel is already being felt in phase 4 and 5 for sure. And he was able, he was unceremoniously let go and then brought back over bad jokes that he had deleted from his Twitter. It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. So, yeah. Someone says, will Film Threat review Knights of the Zodiac at the beginning? It's an manga anime adaptation. I don't know if we will, but I will say a trusted friend saw it yesterday and did not like it. That was Mike MC Wong, told me he thought it was not great. So there you go. Spidey
so they were
Sensei
promoting it pretty heavy at WonderCon. That was like the only thing they were promoting at WonderCon was the Zodiac.
Spidey Sensei 72, who's a member, says Eric Weber posts a lot of thirst trap pics in his feed too. It's weird. It is really weird, like these like shirtless shots, and he always looks like he's either getting a prostate exam or he's posing for a box cover for a gay a porn film. Anyone who's a memer out there, maybe just I wish he would stop doing it. It's actually weird, but someone should just take the top half of his body and then put like a bottom half on it and do what you will. So we don't really have a legion of memers at Film Threat yet, but take some of those Eric Weber shirtless shots and just put it on like a gay porn called Manhole or something. It is a little weird. It is a little weird.
On the Rumble, Lord Shax asks, who's Eric and why are you telling me about Eric? And then AD Ellis 24 says, Eric acts like he is the main character of the film.
Yeah, Eric, he's kind of like that. Yeah. I mean, look, Eric's a good guy. Deep down, Eric is a good guy, but he may lack a little self-awareness. That's all I'm going to say. And I think
he's willing to go after people, especially people who make 3
I like that about Eric. I like that Eric will step up and he doesn't care what people think, and I admire him for that. And then he can also be an idiot. So there you go. So, and you know what? I can be an idiot when it comes to
he is on A24's hit list, by the way.
And superhero movies are the best movies. Says leave Eric Weber alone. Dude is exceptional. Superhero movies are the best movies. You are banned from the chat. So there you go. Leave Eric Weber alone. Dude, I have been friends with him for years. I can bust his balls. Okay. I can bust my friend's balls. He busts my balls. I bust his balls. That's what men do. It's how we tell each other we like each other. Because I'm not going to say to Eric that I like him, but I will bust his balls. Okay, that's how men do things. Rick O'Neill for $4.99. So much of Guardians could have been cut. Agreed. And had no effect on the overall story, in my opinion. That is poor storytelling. Had good moments, though. I think there's a better 2-hour cut.
I will tell you, just last weekend, James Gunn was on Twitter saying, I'll answer any question you have as long as the answers are yes or no. And the implication is that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was completely his. That they gave him a great deal of freedom. And what you saw was, they asked him, will there be a director's cut? And he basically said, yeah, you just saw it. Yeah.
Jericho Leon, Chris, maybe Eric Weber needs to be a regular in Film Threat. He has been on some streams in the past. And that Star Wars girl, hey, that Star Wars girl, good to see you, says lol. I think she did a fantastic job. I think she was the best litigator on Wednesday, with all due respect to you, Alan. I think that Star Wars girl laid out a case. I did kind of, ask her to kind of move it along when I said are we going to get to the part where apes walk upright? Yes, I threw in a bad joke, but she did a fantastic job, and I appreciate that she stepped up. We will be having some of your other favorite YouTubers are going to be joining at some point. So thank you, that Star Wars girl. I'll see you on Flashcast. So I'm not going to be on it. I'm just going to, I like to have Flashcast playing in the background while I'm playing a video game. That's kind of how that's how I roll. Dennis Wright, YouTube drama. Sweet. There's no YouTube drama. If Eric Weber and I are busting each other's balls, it's called a Tuesday. That's how we that's how we interact. And so there you go. Hannibal Grimm, however, I am stupid happy as of late. 90-minute films seem to be coming back over the last few releases. Yeah, I love that. Alan Horkin says, do another poll. Pick if Chris or Alan has to watch Cleopatra. Oh, okay. Ms. Pete Coffee, could you say who should watch Cleopatra? Alan, Chris. And there's only two choices.
You remember the last time you did this? You wound up watching Bros. So
yeah, the last time I did. Oh my God, that's right. I watched Bros. Oh my God, I may have just. Oh, what can I say?
Yeah,
all right, let's.
I mean, I eventually saw half of Bros, and I couldn't finish it.
All right, well, let's pivot for a second here. Quick pivot here to a film that is now in theaters, a film called Hypnotic, directed by Robert Rodriguez, starring Ben Affleck. Alan and I went on a journey where both of us went to see different films at the theater because a lot of smaller movies opened. I think a lot of movies that are going to be no competition for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I am predicting this is not a surprise. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is going to be number one at the box office this weekend. There's just no debate about that. However, a lot of smaller films opened this weekend. I have not seen Hypnotic. Alan, you saw Hypnotic.
Yes.
Give us your review of Hypnotic.
Okay, so real briefly, Ben Affleck plays a police detective who is kind of dealing with the loss of his daughter. His daughter went missing, and now he's just kind of coping with that. So he starts in therapy, but he gets a call. There's a bank robbery. He goes the bank robbery. It's an interesting one because there's a mysterious figure played by William Fichtner who is going around talking to people, and with just 4 words, he's able to get them to basically rob the bank. He got 2 armored car drivers to be the robbers. He got the teller inside the bank to be the accomplice to open the safe, and then he's gotten all these other people to create distractions and to protect him. And so now Ben Affleck's character, he has to go and figure out who is this guy. How is he able to do what he does, and how is he going to keep himself from falling under the powers of William Fichtner's character? Helping him is his partner, who's not so strong of will, and also a character, Alice Braga. I don't have her name here. She is one who is like the Fichtner character, who's able to hypnotize people. And we soon learn that there's a bigger conspiracy, and that they were involved in a government plot. And so this is the story of Hypnotic here. Written and directed by Robert Rodriguez. There's a point where you realize it was shot at his studio, and you get a very grand view of the studio. The studio itself plays a big role in this. So let's just say that I really wanted to like this movie, and I literally had to fight myself to like this movie, but in the end, I couldn't like this movie. There's so many plot holes. First of all, the idea of hypnosis to do that. There's a guy on YouTube, guy from England, Darren Brown, who uses hypnosis as part of his show, and in one episode, he literally got a guy to assassinate Stephen Fry without knowing it. Basically being a pawn. This is kind of I think what the movie is based off of. But in terms of how it's applied here, there are a lot of holes and a lot of problems behind it. And you kind of figure out that, how is the fact that I have to ask myself, how is this really happening? How could this ever happen in real life? Means that they haven't thought through things. Then there's a reveal midway through the film. And then that reveal just started to open up more holes. And then the ending became one of these typical sci-fi endings about family, and has these speeches of family, and it just got really stupid at the end. And so And of course, we've got to set up for a sequel, which I doubt it'll get. This movie is just, I kind of wish it didn't star Ben Affleck. It starred someone unknown or relatively unknown, because, it becomes a Ben Affleck movie near the end. And so, I would say it's a skip for me. I like Robert Rodriguez, but this is not on par. The thing I do like is the fact that it is kind of one of those mid-range budget movies. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's shot at a studio, so the costs are down. I kind of want the return of these kind of $30 million movies, but this is not the one. Oh, you're muted.
What would you rate the movie out of 10?
Oh gosh, I'll give it a 5.5. Like I said, I really want to be able to recommend it, but I can't. I just can't.
All right. Well, there you go. I think it's time we pivot again. We're going to be rapid fire reviewing about 5 or 6 movies that are currently available to see either in theaters or on demand. So we'll get the comments kind of in the middle of that. Let's pivot quickly to the next film. What are we pivoting to? What are we going to pivot to? I'm not sure. We'll see. Let's talk about Fool's Paradise. Here we go here. Wait, it's right. It's here. Fool's Paradise. That was the movie that we all saw last night. It stars Charlie Day in a dual role. He looks exactly like a big star. You meet him. He's effectively a homeless person who's been thrown on the street. In the beginning of the film, you see that he's in an asylum, and then they throw him on the street as homeless. He happens to look like the spitting image of a major star. Charlie Day's character is named Latte Pronto, and this film aspires to be kind of a Charlie Chaplin-like comedy, because his character Lato Pronte doesn't speak the entire film. Adrian Brody is a co-star in the film. Ray Liotta, this is his last movie. He's in the film as well, and it's these unlikely adventures of Latte Pronto traversing Hollywood as he gets Ken Jeong plays his publicist. He becomes his publicist, and it's kind of the rise and fall of Latte Pronto and the ridiculousness of Hollywood. This aspires to be a satirical comedy. It's funny for about 5 minutes of the 97-minute running time. Thankfully, 97 minutes. There's so few laughs in this. I can see what he's trying to do, but either he needed to make a completely silent film with subtitles, because the idea that Latte Pronto doesn't speak at all, and yet people just kind of intuit what he's thinking or saying, gets tiresome after a while. This movie would have made a really good short film. It would have been a fun short comedy, like a 20-minute comedy about his rise and fall. You almost could have had all of the events that happen in the film could have occurred over the course of 20 minutes. It's ridiculous. It's 27% on Rotten Tomatoes. I probably would have scored it less. It's unfortunate because I love Charlie Day. Charlie Day in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is fantastic. And also one of the coolest things about Charlie Day is Charlie Day's voice. Hey, he talks, he has this like very distinct voice that he's funny just from talking, I believe, on It's Always Sunny. Always liked him. And then he'll turn up in a movie here and there where he's a great side character in films. This is a complete waste, unfortunately. I wanted to like it because I do really like Charlie Day, but the adventures of a Charlie Chaplin figure in modern Hollywood sounds good like as a concept. It was so poorly executed, and the concept had a lot of potential. It's very underdeveloped. I did like the kind of digs at modern Hollywood, like, sitting in the makeup chair and all these phony people telling you lies effectively, how what BS the industry is. Here's your publicist, your manager, your agent, your lawyer, like everybody gets 10%. You end up getting like nothing. I believe that what Charlie Day was aspiring to do was make a comment on how ridiculous modern Hollywood is. I just think it just didn't quite get there. I think it could have gone much more over the top. The better film that does this, frankly, which is as relevant today, I watched it recently, is a movie called The Player, directed by Robert Altman. Fantastic film that is, it's not a comedy per se. It's a dark thriller, but it's comedic in the sense that it just mocks Hollywood, and you could replace, they're talking about suspense thrillers or erotic thrillers is a thread, because that's the movie that everybody wants to make. You could just replace that with superhero. It's such a good film. So if you want to see a better film about traversing Hollywood that still stands up, see The Player, but you can skip Fool's Paradise. Probably a 4 or 5 out of 10 for me. It's a pass. And there you go. I think that everyone in our movie meetup group, we all went to see it, and everyone agreed that it was a waste. So there you go. That's Fool's Paradise. All right, it's Alan's turn now.
You're selling that movie meetup group. Also, this is the second movie of I like this guy. I wish this was better.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Like, I really like I like Ben Affleck. I like Robert Rodriguez. I like Charlie Day. I like Ken Jeong. Ken Jeong is actually probably the best part of this movie. But yeah, no, it was really disheartening. Really disheartening. All right, folks. You're going to get so many movie reviews today. So many movie reviews. It'll be a Film Threat record. I promise you. And we will get to your chat comments and questions addressing this, but we are going to pivot. We're just going to pivot quickly. Okay, here we go. We're just going to pivot. Well, okay, I'll give it a try. It's great. Alan, now you're up. It's your turn. We're gonna ping pong between the two of us. Alan, tell us about Book Club: The Next Chapter. It's in theaters. Yeah. Book Club: The Next Chapter. This is, of course, the sequel to the wildly successful Book Club, and which I haven't seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen the first one, so I feel like there's so much that I'm missing and don't understand about this movie that I feel like it's almost a crime to review it. But here we go. Yeah,
wait, tell me about Book Club while I'm going to get another cup of coffee.
Yeah,
I can hear you. I can hear you where my coffee.
Okay, all right. Okay. Yeah, so Book Club. Again, haven't seen the first one. Can't tell you about it, but it's basically four well-known senior citizens, played by Diane Keaton, Jane Fonda, Candice Bergen, and Mary Steenburgen. They're friends. The movie opens with them lamenting the fact that they can't be together anymore because of lockdown, and that they have to meet on Zoom. But suddenly lockdown is over and can meet again. And Stephen's character says, "Hey, I found these old plane tickets I had to Italy, where she was going to meet a former lover of hers, Gianni." And everyone says, "Oh yeah, she tries to convince everyone to let's this is the waning years of our lives. Let's go to Italy as a final fling." Vivian, Jane Fonda's character, is about to get married, so they say, "Hey, let's make it a bachelorette party." And so everyone flies off to Italy, and it's basically I'll describe it as Love Boat, but in Italy, with 4 great actresses playing roles that are beneath them for that matter. I think this is it's Love Boat in the sense of there's not a lot of depth to the stories. Each of them has their own personal hangups that is challenged in Italy, and it's resolved in some manner. And so there you go, episode of Love Boat done. It's also just basically comedic sketches about senior citizens wandering through Italy. You know, they go to the museums. Yes, naked statues, and so there's penis jokes. You know, and so and it's like every single one of these actresses have been in such iconic movies, such iconic serious movies, and they're finally reunited, and this is their movie. And so honestly, I think if you watch the trailers or even passively hear about it, you know what this movie is about. You know the quality of the movie, and it pretty much lives up to that. I can't recommend this. I'm not going to see this again. But a lot of times I'm thinking to myself, who is the audience of this? And I have no idea, because it's certainly not fans of Diane Keaton, Jane Fonda, Candice Bergen, and Mary Steenburgen. I will tell you the one most annoying thing about this movie is the fact that Diane Keaton's character in the movie is called Diane, and throughout the entire movie, everyone's saying, "Hey, Diane, Diane this, Diane that." And, okay, so that's being very nitpicky. So yeah, it's book club. The next chapter is definitely a skip. Chris, are you still there?
Yeah, I just got my coffee. I heard everything you said. I don't want to like alarm the audience. There are at least 2 movies that we're going to review today that I think are worth seeing, but it's a mixed bag. There are some bad films that you'll want to avoid, and Book Club is one. Fool's Paradise is one. But let's see what the
again, this is the 3rd movie now where we have a cast of people that we like.
Right.
They couldn't come through on the film.
They did not deliver. Let's get to your chat comments and questions here. Always love to talk to the chat. There you go. Thomas Korn for 5. John Waters says he keeps all his movies within 90 minutes as it is the average length of dreams. Oh, wow, Mr. Korn. Is this Mr. Korn, the attorney? Attorney Mr. Korn? That's great. Yeah. David Lynch is also one that's fairly disciplined when it comes to running time. Although there's a really good 3-hour version of his Dune that I think is fantastic. It is on YouTube, actually. It's in 4K. Thank you, Mr. Korn. Space Dave 2000 550. Has Alan's Christianity ever had to have him give a hard no on a movie review? It's like, Alan, when I first met you and got to know you, I didn't even know that you were Christian, but I do know that I learned later you are Christian and you listen to Howard Stern. I think that says a lot about your open-mindedness to things. So that's a good question for Alan.
Yeah, that's not how I approach movies. I have personal opinions about it, but ultimately it comes to, what's on the screen and, and judging that. And, I am also the type of person, my entire relationship with Christianity has always been about skepticism and questioning. And so, I'm just not that dogmatic person that says, here are the rules, follow these. Everything that falls outside of those rules, I hate. Now, sometimes non-Christians, a lot of times non-Christians have something interesting to say about life, the world, and humanity, and I'm here to hear it. So yeah, I mean, look, there are plenty of Christian reviewers out there. I don't need to be another one.
Yeah. Well, I will say, I'm just curious what you think of your Kermit in the coffin. Why don't you? It does look weird though. Like the more I look at it, there's like the TNT, and then there's like the coffin with a dead Kermit. It's like a dead. Now, like if you took Kermit out of that and posed Kermit kind of perching or sitting on the bedpost there, like that would be interesting. But it literally looks like you have a dead Kermit.
I know.
In the background. I'm not the only one.
My kid is the one who set that up, and she purposely set it in the coffin position. So we'll talk about it. We'll see if we can get Kermit to be in other positions other settings during the upcoming live streams.
There you go. Aaron Taylor says Hypnotic, Ben Affleck and Robert Rodriguez sounds like a recipe for meh.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
Paulie Latino Slant saw it last night. Alan is 100% right talking about Hypnotic. Thank you,
Where was
Paulie.
the-
Always good to hang out with you. John Mewald, could you be hypnotized to like this movie? Probably not. Let's see. John Thomas for 5. Chris, did you watch Review Polite Society? It looked interesting, but such limited release. I couldn't get to a screening in Chattanooga. We're going to review it today. Let's see. Who should watch Cleopatra? The poll, 238 votes. Chris, 55%. Alan, 44%.
I told you when you.
No, the poll should have gone longer. No. Oh my God. You're going to make me watch Cleopatra. Alan, will you please watch it with me?
I'll watch it with.
Okay, good. We're both going to watch it.
The first 2 episodes. And
okay. All right. Joe, not a Fed for 6. What is that?
What? Oh,
Joe,
Canadian dollars.
No, it's Joe, not a Fed for how much is that?
$6.69.
The extremely fun and immersive game Knights of the Old Republic, also known as KOTOR, could supply interesting Star Wars storylines for years. Play and take notes. You would think that someone would do that. You would think. MK Solid 82 for $4.99. Did you guys hear about Dolph Lundgren's cancer? Yes. He thought he only had months to live while filming Aquaman 2 and Expendables 4. Very sad stuff. I know about it for a couple reasons. I'm actually in a documentary about Dolph Lundgren that will be out later this year. So yes, I did hear about that. And you will learn more about that story when that documentary comes out. Ire Archie for $1.99 just sends in $1.99. It may have been this. Charlie. So Ire Archie says Charlie Days is exhausting. He assumed directing would always be would be like Always Sunny. Off the cuff, easy. Remember, anyone can direct. Not everyone can direct well. Yeah, TV, I think it's like much easier. I'm saying it like I know, like I think directing films a little bit more difficult than half-hour episodic television. Again, it might have made a better episode of It's Always Sunny. Like Charlie Day loses his voice and suddenly gets mistaken for a big star who looks just like him. That could have been entertaining. And Hierarchy says for $4.99 sends in a $4.99. Just, thank you for the support of the channel. Aaron Taylor says, I already know I hate this movie. Robert Rodriguez is such an underwhelming director. Great early works, but his quality drop-off is reminiscent of Kevin Smith. Shucksy says, it's about family. JTP RX. So it's a Fast and Furious movie with Ben Affleck?
No, it's not.
Hierarchy says Robert Rodriguez is better with small to no budgets. It forces him to be more creative. El Mariachi is his best film. From Dusk Till Dawn was fun. He could benefit from Tarantino's crumbs. So Uncle Doug's channel says Affleck's best movies, Dazed and Confused, Mallrats. I love those films. And I like Ben Affleck actually as Batman. I think he's very good. Aaron Taylor says the last Ray Liotta movie, just tell me it's better than Cocaine Bear. I'll say this. Cocaine Bear is actually better than Fool's Paradise. I'm sorry. Sorry to say. Uncle Doug's channel. Sorry, got that one. Sifx says, you saw it. I walked out after 20 minutes. Wasn't funny at all, says Sifx. That's right. Yeah. One of our guys in our movie meetup group, Sifx, walked out of the film and went drinking at this place that has dollar beers. I can't blame you. Always good to hang out. It's okay to laugh. That's a shame about Fool's Paradise. The trailer is great. I agree. Sean Hu for 742. Kermit's new position must get approval from Alan's daughter. Yeah, why do you care what your daughter why does she have to have some say in that? It's weird.
Because I have no time.
Hi, Dad, I miss you.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Well, also she's a disappointment. She has brought dishonor to the family.
Benathon for $4.99. In the trial, if one side has no receipts, they shouldn't be able to steamroll by being rude and combative. Anna, the judge should step in. I don't think Anna was being rude. I think Anna was she was debating her points.
Yeah.
And I think that some of the debate will get contentious. I want it to get slightly contentious. So there you go. WDW Pro. Hey, good to see you here. Subscribe to WDW Pro's channel. I just did an interview on the channel. We appreciate the support. What's Alan's favorite item on the shelves back there and why?
Oh, well, since it's WDW Pro, it's the Fozzie plush there. And I'll tell you why. Got that during my first visit to Disney World ever. Also, that's a very large plush. Also looks a lot like Fozzie Bear. And they don't make plushes like that anymore. Disney doesn't care about quality. And that is the last piece of quality I've ever bought from Disney.
Overall, the quality of merch that comes from Disney is garbage. Yeah. It's shocking, the quality of the merchandise. It is made to be cheap, and it's all overpriced. Yeah. WDW Pro, I'm sure, has thoughts on that. And thank you.
I mean, look, this Fozzie Bear, it was so large, I couldn't put it in my suitcase. I had to carry it. It was carry-on at the airport, and I had to shove them through the So, but I love that plush. That is my favorite plush.
MK Solid 82 for $1.99. Cleopatra on HBO's Rome was so cute and well done. Appreciate that. Just remember to take their review of Cleopatra with a grain of salt, as both these guys said The Woman King was good, says Crazy Cat. I think The Woman King, for what it aspired to be, which is a violent exploitation film a la 70s, I thought it was very good for the type of film it aspired to be. I don't know why, now, there are other things surrounding that movie that made people not like it. I ignore that. So, yeah, Crazy Cat, whatever. How about do this? Take all of our reviews with a grain of salt, because you are welcome to have your own opinion. You can disagree. But yeah, I thought The Woman King was a good action film. It is intended to be an action movie about a mother and a daughter. And it got mired in political talk, and there were comments made by the lead actress that ruffled some feathers. I think a lot of those things are just like a lot of the actors just trying to suck up to the journalists, so they say stupid things. I don't know. I like Viola Davis. I think she's a phenomenal actress. So
yeah, they never should have tried. They never should have tried to claim that it was a true story. Or at least
very, very loose.
It was very loose. They could have just told a story, not connected it to real African history. And it would have gotten less heat than it did.
Well, it felt like, look, and they would never promote it this way. Just seeing the movie on its own, it felt like a blaxploitation film, and I like blaxploitation films. If you watch the blaxploitation films from the 70s, they're awesome. They're out of control. They're super fun. I like blaxploitation, and it's a blaxploitation movie under the guise of being something very, very important. It's not. And they tried to promote it as being important. I think the marketing of the movie was terrible. Terrible. And that made people not like it who hadn't seen the movie. Here's what we like to do at Film Threat. We like to actually see the movies that we talk about and then give you our opinion of that. And then you can take all of the reviews with a grain of salt. How about that? Nix6, it didn't make sense. Anna kept saying it was fraud case. Iger told George Lucas some stuff, and he obviously lied about it, but it was in the contract, because if it's not in the contract, all right, we're not going to turn this into critics. If you want to have critics court comments, save them for Wednesdays. How about that? That's what we'll do. We're talking movies that are in theaters. Razor Burn for 5. Chris, what do you think of Phantom of the Paradise? You think they'll remake it? Well, they're going to remake everything, but that's a cult film. They will probably not remake Phantom of the Paradise, and I also enjoyed that movie. Sean Z Comic-Con struck threat level 2, has been a member for 7 months, and says, mine was Gonzo. Well, there you go. Alan is going to come back and say, I could only make it 10 minutes into the first episode, says Daniel T.
Yes. You know how important the first 10 minutes are in any television series? It is vitally important. And if you don't capture your audience in that first 10 minutes, you're done. You're toast. So I will defend that.
Pirate Queen says the trailer for Fool's Paradise looked like woke trash. The doctor kicking the guy out because he can't pay. No, it's not woke. The thing is, people are overly sensitive to things that, well, this is woke. It's not. It's just people are overly sensitive to it. Now they're like looking for it. So anything that's remotely, it's just like anyone that's social justice will say, the people that say everything is racist, they say that's racist. And it's like, no, it's not. It's maybe a stereotype, but it's not racist. So you need to just like, there's nothing woke about it, but it is a bad movie. The doctor kicking the guy out because he can't pay, that's funny in any sense.
Yeah. Let's be clear. There's a huge difference between being liberal and being woke.
Yes.
For example, liberals believe in free speech for everybody. Woke doesn't. So
yes.
Just because it's got liberal, it has liberal themes and ideas behind it, it doesn't mean it's woke.
I second that. Mob 19001, Eat, Pray, Love for the elderly. Divina Duckworth, who's a member, thank you for your comment. You have to hope the audience doesn't die. And JTPRX, the movie sounds so boring that Alan's internet is slowing down and falling asleep. That's true, Alan. It's true. All right, let's pivot for a second here. Just give me a minute here.
Come here, I'm gonna eat you. Get in my belly.
All right. And now let's talk about, we've talked about some films that we did not love, like kind of 3 in the row that are not great. Let me tell you about a film that is a lot of fun. It is called Blackberry. It is in theaters. It is about the actual team of people who created the Blackberry. And oddly enough, some connection to Fool's Paradise. Glenn Howerton is in the film. He plays a character named Jim Balsillie. Balsillie is his name, based on a real person who is the financier who became the CEO, the unwitting CEO of the Blackberry company, which I learned a lot about in this film. Blackberry was created by a bunch of Canadian engineers who imagined this device where you could send text messages over the internet. This is before the iPhone existed. It was the first phone that had a keyboard as a big part of it, so you could send emails, text messages. It revolutionized everything. I remember that they called it the Crackberry. I, at the time, had a Palm Trio, which was kind of a Blackberry knockoff. I then had a Moto Q that I still have that has a keyboard on it. Old tech is now kind of fun to have, is almost like a piece of ephemera. But this film is headed up by Jay Baruchel, who is the creator. He plays Mike Lazaridis. And Mike Lazaridis was the one that envisioned a keyboard on a phone. Like if you just put a keyboard on a phone, you can send text messages. So this was the big innovation. This was like in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they got a group of investors together. Glenn Howerton's character, Jim Balsillie, helped raise the money. They created this company. It's a comedy that is about a ridiculous company that had like a very meteoric rise and a huge fall. It's funny and weird. And I didn't even recognize Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia because he shaves his head bald. He's got a bald head with like hair on the sides. And I'm looking at him going like, that guy's familiar. I didn't even recognize Glenn Howerton. He's so good in this part. It's over the top, ridiculous. The things that happen, it's like an episode of Silicon Valley, but like a special episode of Silicon Valley that is just focused on the Blackberry. It's funny and it's a bizarre true story. And the way it plays out, I love the sort of true story aspects of it. I'd love to see actually a companion to Blackberry as a documentary. It's also an hour and 59 minutes. An hour and 59 minutes. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Entertaining. It's more of a comedy than a drama. I really enjoyed this film, and I strongly recommend it. A strong 7 or 7.5 out of 10 for me. You will have a good time at the movies. Lots of great cameos from actors that you'll recognize, comedic actors like Rich Summer, among others. But yeah, it's Carrie Elways is also in it. It's like a really good extended episode of Silicon Valley focused on the creation of the Blackberry. Strong recommend. So there you go. See, there is a good film, and it is in theaters today, and the director is going to be joining us at the end of the show. So
yeah, I know you mentioned a lot, but watching this, I definitely felt like I want to see a documentary about this.
Yes,
because I think the characters in the movie, it is a comedy, so I think they're much more caricatures than they are actually characters. I found it very interesting. Especially for people who lived through the .com boom and then the .com crash. This is a story that plays right into it. The idea that they were selling something, they were selling technology that had not yet been developed, and the ramifications of that. And I found that incredibly fascinating. And so I am kind of wrestling with the depth of the story as it was happening at the time versus alongside the comedy that was placed on top of it. And that's why I'm feeling like, after watching it, I do want to see a real documentary about this.
Yeah, because especially at the end, I don't want to spoil it, but because obviously the company failed and went out of business, but it's kind of so funny the way it actually plays out. And it's real. They throw up these, a little button at the end that kind of gives you the context, and then you see the real people that the characters in the film were based on. You see pictures. It's a crazy story, and I would even compare. It'd be a good companion to the movie Tetris, now on Apple TV Plus. Like, I love the real story behind some piece of technology. This seems to be a genre now, but this would be a great companion to Tetris. And I really enjoyed the film. All right, we're going to pivot to another movie that Alan will review.
Actually, you may need to talk about it. I saw it at Sundance.
What's that?
Are you talking about Polite Society or?
Yeah. Let's talk about Polite Society.
Why don't you talk about it? Because I saw it a long time ago at Sundance. I think your at least take on the story is much fresher than mine.
Okay. Let's talk about Polite Society. It's about a young Indian girl in Britain whose older sister, who she admires and reveres and loves, is being courted by a man. And she has suspicions about this man. The young girl, her character's name, I'm going to have to look it up. Her character's name is, what is her character's name? I can't find it for some reason. I don't know why it's not on maybe you can look that up, Alan. But her sister, Lena, is now being courted by a man. The protagonist, she wants to be a stunt woman. And it gets into this ridiculous thing where the school bully she gets in a fight with, and it's all very over the top comic book fighting, right? Where, she's flying in the air, doing high kicks. It's kind of crazy. And this is by the way, this is a British film, but it's all Indian actors, right? And the protagonist admires female stunt women. This one woman who is in Marvel movies, she sends emails and letters to. She wants to meet her, but her older sister, is about to get married, being courted by a man. And no matter what, she tries to reveal this man as being evil. No matter what she does, nothing. She keeps finding out that he's even a better person than she thought. He's a doctor who has a very good relationship with his mother. What ends up happening is it's revealed that there is something nefarious happening, and she has to stop the wedding. It's all comical, over the top. I thought this movie was fun. It didn't quite land for me. I thought some of the stuff did not work. It's like, what is this? Is it a comic book movie? Is it a serious film, a cultural film commenting on Indian people in London, in the UK? It didn't I couldn't quite figure it out. But the parts of it that are charming are actually kind of fun. And it was like, is this a comedy or is this like a dark suspense thriller? You know, with the young protagonist trying to save her sister from the evil guy that's going to marry her. It sort of like vacillated in its tone. It would be a mild recommend for me. I would not rush to the theater. If it's on streaming, catch it. So probably if I had to rate it out of 10, I'd give it like a 6, but it's at least the relationship between the protagonist and the sister is really worked for me. But other than that, it's kind of a mixed bag. Alan, what did you think of Polite Society?
Yeah, I got criticized for giving this comment about other films, but I will say it. I will say it again. I like the movie, but it's not meant for me. It's not meant for us. This is a film directly meant for teen girls, preteen girls, and it works very well. I think the story is charming. It brings in the Indian culture, which only expands one's knowledge. The fact that she wants to be a stunt person and that there is fighting in this movie, and there's some very good fight sequences in the movie, is appealing. I would definitely say that if there was ever a home for this movie, it's Disney Plus. I think it fits right in that audience there. But
it's a Disney Plus movie. It's a Disney Plus movie.
It's an exceptional Disney Plus movie.
Yeah. I thought the same thing. Yeah, actually, this would be a good Disney Plus movie. This is like, if you want to get a preview of what the Marvels will probably be, it's this movie. Because what she does is the lead. Can you look up on IMDb? What is I don't know.
It's Rhea. Her name's Rhea.
Rhea. That's right. So the lead character's name is Rhea. Her sister is Lena, and they have this good relationship in the beginning that is ripped apart when her older sister basically gets engaged to this guy, and then the climax is at the wedding. She engages, of course, she ends up befriending the bully and her group of friends. They kind of break apart, come back together. A lot of the stuff is very checking off boxes, and I mean that in the sense of like a story wise, like her friends aren't friends anymore. Well, know they're going to be friends by the end.
Story structure is fairly standard.
It's really standard, so it's like it's good for that type of movie. But I thought the same thing. This is a movie for young girls. I like the martial arts aspect and sort of the over-the-top nature of it, because it just gets stupid by the end, where there are these big sort of Bollywood dance numbers, but then it's like not as good as actual Bollywood, because this is a British film. But then that turns into basically Street Fighter kind of battling it out. So it's fine. Like I said, probably a 5.5 or a 6 for me. Mild, barely recommend, but yeah, it's a Disney Plus thing.
Yeah.
There you go.
I give it a 6.5. It's I don't think there are flaws inherently within it. But again, know your audience. I don't think this movie will appeal to the vast majority of people watching us right now.
Cool. All right. Well, we're going to pivot. I've got one more film review before we get to our director interview for today. We'll continue the conversation. Happy Cinco de Mayo, folks, and don't forget the 3 brave amigos who fought the infamous El Guapo and his plethora of bandidos to free the people of Santa Poco, says Wes Ray.
The infamous El Guapo.
Infamous?
Okay.
Infamous?
He's more than famous. He's infamous.
He's infamous.
Okay.
All right. Well,
have you even seen that movie?
What's that?
The 3 Amigos.
Years ago. I have not seen it recently.
Okay.
So, all right, we're gonna pivot first.
This man El Guapo is not just famous; he's infamous.
Yeah!
Shout out to Glanuccio. He uploads these videos that kind of mock us, and I love it. Yeah. I didn't remember the quote. Okay, I hadn't seen that.
How can you not remember the quote?
He's infamous. Oh my God. Well, Alan, you won that round of movie trivia. Let's talk about. We're gonna end on a high note of a documentary. It's not. I don't know if it's out yet. Alan, perhaps you can look it up. A documentary called "Squaring the Circle: The Story of Hipgnosis," and it is pronounced, even though in the film it's Hipgnosis. Hipgnosis. It's actually pronounced Hipgnosis. It is the story of a famous group of artists who did some of the most iconic album art that has ever existed. This documentary follows all of the creators behind the scenes who created this company. Storm Thorgerson and Aubrey Poe Powell are among the artists who during the early 1970s created these album covers that are insane. Everything from Pink Floyd with that famous prism and the rainbow. The weird thing about that, what you learn is you learn the stories behind the album art. This is before Photoshop existed. This is before computers. They staged these crazy photographs that are insane. For example, the Pink Floyd with the prism, Dark Side of the Moon. It drove people crazy because it didn't say what the name of the band was or the name of the album. So it's just the first time they wrapped the album in plastic and put a sticker that said, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. But they created these iconic album art covers, and the stories behind it are just insane. They interview Paul McCartney for this documentary. They interview a bunch of the artists from the time. It's incredible. A lot of Led Zeppelin covers. And Led Zeppelin covers are infamous for just being, look, I grew up at a time where, yes, I had albums. This was in the 70s and 80s. I had albums. I remember you would buy an album, and especially it was great when they had like a fold where you could open it. You would listen to the album and just look at the album art, and your imagination would fly. So the stories behind these album covers is crazy. There is a famous Led Zeppelin cover. I think it's Houses of the Holy, where you see this image. You know which one? There are a bunch of, from the back, you see these unclothed children that are amongst this formation of rocks, and there are a bunch of them. They all look alike. They had to stage that, and because the rocks were in such a formation that they were close together, without Photoshop, they actually physically had to cut the photo and marry the different images together. And the guy who did it says, yeah, it took me about 30 minutes. So there's another famous album art. It's a Pink Floyd album where they have this like giant inflatable pig that's over like a plant. They had to actually make it. They got an inflatable pig. They floated it in the air, and they tell the whole story of how the pig, this inflatable pig, like it was in the air for a very short time. They got as many photos as they could, and then it actually flew up into the air where it exploded, and it landed on a farmer's land, who said, hey, is this your inflatable pig? I found it, because it made the national news. It was crazy. So I was blown away by this film. The bands getting involved, they would send the music to these guys, they would listen to it, and like how the crazy early days of their company, they had like this small one-room office that didn't have a bathroom, so they all urinated in the sink. It was very like punk rock, very like rock and roll, how these album covers were put together. Like they did things like, yeah, I need like a sheep, a psychiatrist's couch, and I need to fly that to Hawaii on a beach. Then they would just set up these crazy. So what's interesting is, if you're familiar with these iconic albums, you'll see like all the photos from the photo shoot. Or there's the one album, God, I know I'm spacing on it, where there's like these two businessmen and they're shaking hands and one is on fire. What is that album cover? Someone in the chat knows that. Anyways, they show the video, they show film that was shot during that photo shoot. It was crazy. They only did a few takes of it. It was incredibly dangerous because the guy was lit on fire, but his face was exposed. So you see like his business suit and he's on fire. What is that album cover? Why am I spacing on it? But
it hasn't come up in the chat yet. So.
Oh, okay. But I'll just
wish you were here. Wish you were here.
Wish You Were Here but what was the band?
But
it was like, but so this company Hipgnosis, which was this sort of ad agency, but they didn't ever like to be called that they were an ad agency. They were effectively like they were artists, and it's like yeah. They bristled at the thought that we're not an ad agency. We do art, right? We do artwork, and it's a really incredible documentary. I don't know if we have a review on the Film Threat website yet, but we have to get this film reviewed. It's fantastic. So I really enjoyed it. Strong recommendation, especially if you know those bands. It was just the experience. And also they got like Led Zeppelin music in the movie, which is fantastic. So I really, really love this doc. And the fact that they also got like so many people from, like they got Paul McCartney, among others, to talk on the record. It was really good. So strong recommendation. Check it out. Squaring the Circle. The idea of squaring the circle, right? You put an album art is square. The record is circle. Get it? Squaring the Circle. Fantastic music documentary. Loved it. Let's go to your chat comments and questions here.
Yeah. But it was Wish You Were Here, and that was Pink Floyd.
Ah, there you go. Wish You Were Here, Pink Floyd. Why did I not? There you go. So, but thank you, those in the chat.
Yeah, and I should also mention it comes out next month.
Next month.
Yeah, New York's. It'll go wide on June 20th.
Great. So this is an early review of the film. Look, if you're a music fan, you have to check it out. Let's go to your chat comments and questions here. Always love to talk to the chat. I personally know that team that created the Blackberry, says Lord Thoth. Really? You must be in Canada. Yeah, it was great. Like in the trailer, there's a great line in the Blackberry movie where they're like, you said you got the best engineers in the world. And Jay Baruchel says, I got the best engineers in Canada. It's so great. I didn't know a lot about, I just knew that like I never had a Blackberry, but I saw the people that had it seemed very serious. Also, the Blackberry was more expensive, which is why I had the Moto Q, which has a keyboard, and I have the Palm Trio. So I think I have my Moto Q around here. I should go look for it.
Yeah, I remember I had I think the last Blackberry phone was an actual smartphone, and I remember owning that.
Well, the thing that killed the Blackberry, it's in the movie, is the iPhone. I mean, it didn't have a keyboard, but the keyboard was a digital thing. That was the screen, the touch screen was revolutionary and put Blackberry out of business. It's nuts. Spidey Sensei 72 says people loved those keyboards. Patrick Lemire says Crackberry, the original phone addiction. Yeah, it's funny. They did call it the Crackberry. Sean Z, Comic Construct. Glenn Howerton talked about it on the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia podcast. Oh, that's great. He's so good at it. I love that cast.
His character is amazing in the sense of he's a guy who just talks his way and wills things into being just by the way he talks.
Yeah, I just the cast of It's Always Sunny have all gone on to do really good things. It's unfortunate Charlie Day's movie Fool's Paradise was a disappointment. The Nerd Far Away, I have to say I've been interested in the tech stories. I've got Halt and Catch Fire, Driven, Tetris on my watch list. Blackberry is now on the list. You will enjoy it. Nerd Far Away, you will enjoy it. I like these stories because they are crazy. Like the story of Tetris is nuts. It's like a thriller. It's like these basically these con artists from England pretended to have certain rights they didn't have, and then were selling them to people who thought they had bought the rights. It's so good. Taron Egerton's really good in it. And I love that they kind of like segue and you actually see like the real people. It's crazy.
What's insane is if you take all these tech stories together, you now understand why the tech boom busted and why people lost millions.
Yeah. Harry Anders for 100 Swedish krona. Did I get that right? Yeah. Chris Allen, how do you like the great film Hard Times, Chuck Bronson and Coburn from 1975? Since Chris likes exploitation, I recommend Man on the Roof, 1976, a Swedish police thriller you might enjoy. I don't remember Hard Times, but I do love exploitation movies from the 70s. Back when Film Threat was a print magazine, we used to just run ads from exploitation films, and it is crazy, the subject matter. that were in those movies. So thank you, Harry Anders, for the recommendation. Man on the Roof, 1976. That's great. Love it. Full Moon Entertainment has a lot of Italian exploitation. If you get the Full Moon Entertainment app, there are a ton of exploitation movies from Italy on the app, which is great. It's like $5 a month. So Gabriella Condor for 20 euros or 20 euro super sticker. Thank you for that. I'll take it. $2 from Blue Scylla. Love you and Alan's energy. Love the channel. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Where can I watch the Blackberry movie? Says Matthew Hammond. It is in theaters today. It is in theaters today. Look up. It's at AMC. I looked it up. It's Blackberry is playing at. It's at the Dine-In Cinemas in Glendale. It's in Glendale. It's playing indie theaters mostly, but it is in theaters. My assumption is if it follows, it'll be in theaters and then it'll be on video on demand shortly thereafter. So
yeah, I have a Rumble comment. 80 Ellis 24. The Blackberry and RIM was based in Waterloo, which is one of the top 5 schools of technical engineering in North America.
Sweet.
Waterloo, Ontario.
Nice. Davina Duckworth, there is a gallery page for Hipgnosis album covers. Oh, that's awesome. Chris is a fake Pink Floyd geek girl exposed, says Crazy Cat. Crazy Cat just trying to stir stuff up. Look, I know a lot about certain types of movies. When it comes to music, the most music I have, like when I transferred my collection of CDs onto, when you could actually put it on your, iPod, it was all movie soundtracks. I know a lot about movie soundtracks. So there you go, Crazy Cat. Crazy Cat again, trying to stir up drama. I don't know. Crazy
All
Cat.
my albums were Amy Grant, so
you know what? I don't care. I don't know every Pink Floyd. I know Dark Side of the Moon because I listen to that one relentlessly.
yeah.
Jeffrey,
80 Ellis 24 also says these are basic Pink Floyd trivia questions.
Yes, I would not succeed at that. Basic. Yeah, I'm not Pink Floyd trivia. Which one are we talking about? Are we talking about Pink or Floyd? Because I don't know about those guys. Jesus, settle down, people. Jeffrey Quest says, I need to check out that Hipgnosis movie. Love their album artwork. You will not be disappointed. One of the best docs I've seen this year. It is one of the best documentaries I've seen this year. Fantastic.
Yeah,
probably it'll get nominated.
Yeah, sorry. Opens June 7th in New York, then to LA, and then wide release on the 20th.
Yeah, there you go. Spidey Sensei 72. Before the internet, we just read liner notes in our album covers. Yeah, that's true. I used to read liner notes. I would read the lyrics. I would, the inside sleeve would actually have stuff printed on it. You would just look at it because you would listen to the music and you would look at the album covers and just, your imagination would fly. Imperfect says Amy Grant and Air Supply.
Oh, I had Petra and Striper also.
Phil Hartman painted album covers before comedy, says Andrew S. Pink Floyd was supposed to do the music for Dune when Jodorowsky was in charge of direction, says Solomon Thornton. Yes, I remember that. That was, how cool was that? Love it. Patrick Lemire says Gnosis, esoteric knowledge of spiritual truth. I love that. And then Alan is infamous, says Monkey Jeebus. Oh my, okay. Alan is infamous.
Or infamous.
Infamous. Oh my God. Lubitsch touched me. Loving the rapid fire reviews today. Well, yeah, we went through, how many movies did we review today? Like 6.
I believe so.
More than 6. It's just, it happens where, look, no one is releasing movies, big movies to go up against Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It is what it is. So Alan and I fortunately get to see a lot of films. And Alan gets to go to film festivals as well, sees a lot of movies. So we, So we try to give you our rapid takes on it, and you can decide whether or not if it's a film for you. I think if you like the TV show Silicon Valley, Blackberry is like a really fun episode. Crazy Cat for $4.99. You're a good guy, Chris. Just busting balls. Everybody give Chris a hand, a few bucks to dry your tears with Chris. Again, you can't even have a nice comment that isn't busting my balls in some way. Crazy Cat. But yeah, I'm going to bust your balls too. You are currently banned from the chat, but thank you for the $4.99. Thank you, Crazy Cat. I bet Alan knows the band DC Talk, says Jagar.
Yeah, I do. I've actually seen them in concert. So
there you are. Patrick Lemire says, I rate films, theater, rental, streaming. I'd watch it on an airplane. Oh my God, Patrick. I did a TV show in the late 90s, early 2000s called The New Movie Show with Chris Gore. It's a real show that was on FX. It was on for only like 6 months. In fact, I'll show you. I've got like right here. I'll dust this off. This was a promo for, here it is. I'll put myself full screen. This is The New Movie Show with Chris Gore. It was, this was a promo that was sent out by FX. Okay. And on the back here, it's got nutrition, facts, ingredients. Chris Gore and his weekly panel of film pundits give you movie reviews without the candy coating. Thursdays, 10:30. Premieres March 16th on FX. So there you go. And this box was a promo that went out to people in the TV industry, and it has a T-shirt. I haven't opened this. Should I open it? It has a T-shirt. All right, it's extra large T-shirt. I should give this to Alan.
Oh yeah.
It says, there you go. 100% cinematically incorrect. It was one of the producers who worked on Politically Incorrect. So there you go. There you go. The New Movie Show. The New Movie Show featuring me. And
hey, but
during the show, my point in bringing this up, during the show, I would rank the movies based on go see it in a theater, wait for video, or wait for network television, or watch it on a plane. That was literally you can just look up New Movie Show with Chris Gore on YouTube, and you'll see horribly embarrassing pictures of me you'll see video of me from 20 years ago. More than 20 years ago. So I wonder if you could look that up. Should we show a little bit? Look up The New Movie Show with Chris.
Actually, my internet is going to crash if I start looking things
okay, up. I'll do that, Alan.
Yeah. I should mention we have over 100 people watching on Rumble.
Wow, thank you,
Rumble. You can hit that thumbs up button, because currently we have 1 thumbs up and 2 thumbs down. And we
thumbs down.
We need to outnumber
thumbs down on Rumble.
I know.
Thumbs down on Rumble. That is ridiculous.
It could be because we said something nice about liberals.
Here's what I have to say. F you. That's what I have to say. And you know what else I have to say? Because I've been working on the Blu-ray for Attack of the Doc. I have to finish all of the assets today and upload all of the assets. That is what's happening. Here's a preview of what you might hear on the Blu-ray. I love the prequels. I have boobs. Harry Coinslot, harrycoinslot.com. That will not be on the Blu-ray, but something that you can check out. F Disney Star Wars. You can see how angry I am. Why am I so angry? I'm not that angry in real life. I generally love to have fun and hang out. Okay, so what I wanted to say, the reason that the Hipgnosis documentary I liked so much is it talked about graphic design. I am such a nerd. I one of my favorite documentaries is a documentary called Helvetica. It is about the font Helvetica. And I actually get books about art and design. This is one of my favorite books that I have. It's about graphic design. It's called, here, I'll put myself full screen here. This is a book recommendation. It's called Super Graphic, A Visual Guide to the Comic Book Universe. And it talks about graphics, how graphics are used. I love books about art and graphics. This goes through like color schemes, what colors are used, how they're used, different types of comic books, Stan Lee's nicknames in the Marvel bullpen. It's just like filled with factoids. This book is fantastic. Oh, here we go. The Fantastic Four primer, like how colors are used in the Fantastic Four. Like this is like real like craftsman, like how fonts are used, how graphics are used, and I love that kind of inside baseball. So there you go. Yeah. So should we look up clips from the new movie show while we're waiting? Matt isn't here yet. I think there might have been a miscommunication about the time when we're doing this, but let me look up on YouTube. We're gonna see.
Yeah. Also, I was mistaken that we have 0 thumbs down on Rumble, but let's get those thumbs up beyond 1. And then Red Terror 1978 says, "I love this Frank Gore fella."
Yeah. That's crazy. That is crazy, Frank Gore. I'm having trouble finding clips. Anyways, something to look up later. You'll see. I do not look. I look very different. Let's just say that. I look very different. The weird thing is, I had like silver hair then, but you couldn't see it because of the way that it was lit. It looks like I have sort of dirty blonde hair. So there you go. Davina Duckworth says, I think Helvetica is the only movie on a typeface. It is, but it's also about font design, why Helvetica is so important. Anyone can design a font. You can design a font. If it becomes popular and people use it, you will make a lot of money. But I think it's the only movie on typefaces, but I really, really enjoyed that film. Okay. More comments here. Jagar, can we expect Chris Allen and Allen's daughter to see The Little Mermaid in theaters? We will see the movie. We will review it. I've spoken to people who I trust who have seen it, who say it's actually very good and probably the best live action Disney. I have no interest in the film whatsoever. I don't think it's for me. I'm not excited for it.
Yeah, my daughter and I will be seeing it next Saturday. And the only reason my daughter is even entertaining the thought of seeing it is because it's at the El Capitan in Hollywood, and she wants to go to that theater.
All right, well, there you go.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, the real question is, what did Alan's daughter think of it?
By the way, she hated Peter Pan and Wendy.
That's good. That's good. The old guy says, thanks, Alan, for your approach to Christianity. I'm of the same mind. Well, I think it says a lot about, thank you, the old guy. I think it says a lot about Alan, like, yeah, I'm Christian, but I listen to Howard Stern because we kind of bonded over Howard Stern. Do you remember we'd like talk about like, kind of like,
the good old days?
The good old days, the good era of Howard Stern. I loved when Howard Stern was good, man. He fighting against the FCC and just, all the bits that he'd do and how he would get around it. The Howard Stern movie, which I thought was very good, Private Parts. I read his book. I was a fan. I was also on the show with, I was on that show Geek Time with Ralph Cirilla. I was on the show. I did the show. I got to go to the offices. I feel like COVID kind of changed him. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. He's definitely pandering to the woke, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't know, but Howard was always kind of a germaphobe. Throw in like everything that's happening. It's crazy. Hierarchy for $4.99. Chris, I can get you on the WGA picket line in front of Disney. I'll be there. Pizza and pickets. Anonymous commercial director. Hierarchy. Oh, hierarchy. Oh, dude, let's do it. How about next week? I can't do it today.
Have you heard about apparently the WGA strikers on the West Coast? They're getting food. They're meeting celebrities. It's kind of like a big party. But on the East Coast, they get nothing. They're just standing there picketing. And they're all really upset about the treatment they're getting versus how the WGA West is getting.
Oh, wow. I don't know. I think here's the problem. I would like to do that. I feel like I would be recognized by, not that I get recognized, but that group of people might know who I am and would probably not appreciate me going there to goof on them.
You mean the
So
writers of Kenobi might be picketing at Disney that day?
yeah, I have said things about people. I think that, yeah, that may end up being a problem. I would like to do it. I think I'm advising myself against it. I'm advising that I do not do that. So there you go. I'm not going to do it. I would like to. I'm not going to. Okay, back to your chat comments and questions here. I think we're good. Oh, Alan, I wanted to talk to you about, and there must have been a miscommunication about Matt. I sent them the link. Maybe we'll talk to him next Friday. I don't. He has not showed up in our. I'm checking email. He has not showed up in our digital green room, so to speak. So, Alan, I want to hear from you about the film festival that you just attended, the Los Angeles Asian Pacific Film Festival. Alan, give us your update.
Yes, it's happening this weekend. The last day is actually tomorrow. I'm going to be in LA Live tomorrow for that. But I used to really enjoy going to the LA Asian Pacific Film Festival. It was just a chance. Me being Asian, you don't see a lot of Asian movies, especially let's just say 7-10 years ago. And so it was just really cool to meet new storytellers, new filmmakers, see Asians in films, because quite frankly, we don't appear as much as the others do. But I don't know, this year it just feels overly political to me. Most of the documentaries, it's all these themes of colonization, of oppression, and I'm like, is this really our tune right now? Because it just feels like every single film, every single documentary has to bring up white oppression, colonization, and on and on. The first movie I saw from the festival it's called let me see, I forget, Unseen Nurses. I believe that's the name, Unseen Nurse. It's basically a documentary about Filipino nurses nurses from the Philippines, basically go to any hospital in America, any medical facility in America, you'll find at least half of the nurses there are from the Philippines. And it just talks about how, when the Americans came in and colonized the Philippines, they gave opportunities. Basically, the only opportunity women had in the Philippines would become nurses. And, and so the movie was about how they were forced to become nurses, yet at the same time, they take pride in being nurses. And then it gets into COVID. And then it gets into these themes of, the China virus, and then Asian hate. And I'm like, I want to know about Filipino nurses. I don't want to necessarily know about, about lockdown, because we lived through it, A, and B, every documentary about coronavirus, COVID-19, has all these themes in it anyway. And so it just becomes tiresome. And over again. Yesterday, saw a horror movie called Raging Grace. It was actually pretty good. But then the Q&A happened, and the director talked about just the rage he felt because of his identity, him not coming to grips with his identity as a Filipino immigrant to Britain. And part of me was at one point of listening to all this was, when did we as Asians become so weak? Look, I grew up at a time where real racism was happening. We're talking the 70s and 80s here. And even then, it was nothing like the 60s when my parents were growing up. And so I was experiencing actual racism, actual non-access to opportunities. And now it's about, I will say today, we have access to opportunities. We have an Asian American Film Festival that you can submit your films to. You can make movies. You can get hired to make movies. So the access is open more than ever, more Asian actors than ever coming through Hollywood. And now we have to focus on microaggressions. And I'm like, when will this stop? Why the problem I have with film festivals today, and not just this one but the other ones, is there's this narrative that films have to keep following, of oppression, of how bad white people are, and it just gets tiresome. I'm tired of it. It's just, we go to movies to escape, not to be constantly reminded of how bad Trump was and how bad white people are today. So yeah, we'll see how tomorrow goes. In terms of the festival, I saw one good movie. It was a romance. And we'll see how the rest goes.
Yeah, it is really like, just having been around the festival world for a long time myself, you see that certain types of films are championed. I considered a festival run for Attack of the Dock, and then realized like, I'm not towing a certain line.
Yeah.
I'm not going into the like, look how bad television was back then. I did have some things to say, but I kept it kind of subtle. It's there if you're looking for it. But, I just wanted to make a love letter to G4 TV and Attack of the Show and remind people of why they enjoyed the show. Number one, but my movie's not a festival movie. It's not. I would have to have put something in about women being oppressed or this or whatever. And it's just, I'm not, I feel like what it does is weaken you. It weakens you. And this is why when you look at like, if someone's trying to bully you or get the best of you or troll you or whatever, it's like giving them any oxygen or attention, they win. And I'm not going to give them attention at all. I'm not going to acknowledge a weakness. I could easily portray myself as a victim based on struggles that I've had in the past. I don't choose to see my life that way. I don't choose to position how I see where I've gotten as being, look, I've had my own struggles like everyone does. Everyone who reaches a certain level struggled in some way to get there, period. Everyone. This whole thing of this whole narrative is just BS meant to divide people, period. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's really disheartening that this is where we are. I should have played the Allen's Corner.
Yeah, you probably should.
Or maybe the Gore rant. But it's this idea, and it's really only specific types of movies will play film festivals going forward.
Yeah.
Based on
it makes it really makes it not fun to go to film festivals.
Yeah.
Because it's like you walk into a screening and you're getting lectured. And so, I hate to say it, but, I was going down the list of films I could watch, and you see the keywords, you see the buzzwords, and it's like, oh, that's a skip. There was a movie about Asians in cinema, and the entire movie was just about how oppressive white Hollywood was, rather than the celebration of those who actually got into cinema, like Anna May Wong, how she was able to get into the system and triumph in that system. James Hong was another one. He got into this white club basically, and thrived in it. And there are a lot of actors, but it becomes about white people bad. Look, you guys did some pretty horrible things, but I hate to say it, so did everyone else.
I didn't even look.
How many slaves did you own?
This is the thing is, my ancestors never owned slaves because they weren't here. In fact, some of my ancestors were slaves, Irish. I'm part Irish. They were Irish. They only talk about one type of slavery, right? Slavery is an awful, horrible thing that exists today in the world. And we're just obsessed with this single narrative that is diminishing. And I think there are other stories that need to be told. Yeah. Well, that is going to wrap it up for us today. I want to say, if you like the t-shirts that Alan and I are wearing, the Film Threat t-shirts, go to shop.filmthreat.com. You can get this Fight Club inspired Film Threat shirt, or Alan shirt that says Film Threat the 13th. There are a bunch of other shirts that are inspired. We have an American flag version of the Film Threat logo, among others. We even have a rainbow one based on the Star Trek, the motion picture classic poster. So go to shop.filmthreat.com. If you send us a self-addressed stamped envelope to Film Threat, 5042 Wilshire Boulevard, PMB 1500, Los Angeles, California, 90036. You know what I can do? I can send you a sticker. I can send you got a bunch of stickers. I could probably send you a sticker in a self-addressed stamped envelope. So send that off to us. Also, please like, subscribe, share. Definitely if you're on Rumble, subscribe to the channel. Please like this. It's weird because our Rumble, some of our views on Rumble are like 400,000 views and then 50 views. So we're all kind of all over the map, depending on if they recommend us. But definitely on Rumble, please give us a subscribe. We would appreciate it. And then also you can subscribe to Film Threat's newsletter. Go to filmthreat.com/newsletter. We'll send you it's like twice a week. We let you know like what we're up to. Join us for our live streams. Also, we're Film Threat on everything. Film Threat on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. If you're on those social media platforms, follow us there. Alan is My Pal Al on Twitter and Film Threat Alan on Instagram.
Yeah. And My Pal Al on Rumble.
Wait, you're My Pal Al on Rumble? You have a Rumble channel?
Yeah.
When do you have time to have a Rumble channel?
I know. Believe me, there's not much on there.
Well,
maybe I'll get in a session of gaming once a week if I'm lucky.
And I am that Chris Gore on everything. That Chris Gore, if you want to. I don't post all that much, but you can follow me there. The other thing I do want to say is a lot of you have sent me letters about the court case, and I get these letters that are like a block of text like this. I feel like I'm doing therapy for fans of Star Wars. I unfortunately wish I had the time to read all those letters. I will look for the action item. What you need to do, I'm going to tell you what you need to do. You need to become a member of the channel. And you can be a member of the channel for 1 month. You'll get access to our Discord. There is a Critics Court forum on the Film Threat Discord. Only members get access to the Discord. If you are interested in being involved in the trial, you got to post on the Discord. Okay. So in order to post on the Discord, you got to become a member. I think it's like, is it like $1.99 or something?
Something like that.
Anyways, we do have to limit it. We do have to limit it. So let me just say, if you want to be a part of the trial, participate on the Critics Court Discord. You can even post an audition video. You know, like the guys we had on for the defense did a very good job, but they're not necessarily professional YouTubers. One guy was in radio. Even he had technical problems with the mic. I want to get, people who can argue the case, but can also know how to be on YouTube, and there you go. Let's go through some of your final comments and questions here. Being oppressed is the best currency in Los Angeles, says Patrick Lemire. Lubitsch touched me, says overly political. Shocking. GP Neve says, Chris, please make Attack of the Doc available for European and Australian viewers. Two quick things. One, the movie just came out in the United States like 2 weeks ago. If you use a VPN, you might be able to watch it. Just saying. But it will be available. It is currently at, I think this week or next week, the distributor that has the rights is going to the Cannes Film Market. The movie will be at the Cannes Film Market. It will be available eventually Australia, the UK, etc. So please be patient. Please be patient, and we appreciate it. So thank you for that. Davina Duckworth says, I've been meaning to watch Better Luck Tomorrow, Justin Lin's first movie. That is worthwhile. And Davina goes on to say, they're called microaggressions because you need a microscope to look for them. I hear you.
That's why I say, when did we become so weak that
yes,
the words hurt us?
My whole thing was like to play the victim that's a sign of weakness. So I was taught that you just don't do that. Everyone has things that happen to them, and you can lean into your victimhood, which makes you weak, or you can lean into things that make you strong.
Yeah.
What's that
overcoming adversity makes you strong in character.
Yes, there's a great quote from that. I forget the philosopher is, that which does not kill us only makes us stronger. If you survived all the, you know what? I survived bullying when I was a kid. I was kind of tiny until I hit like 16. Then I had a big growth spurt. I was small. So I'm in gym class. I'm like the smallest kid. Yes, I was, no surprise, picked last when people, when we played team sports in gym. I was a little kid. Then I had a growth spurt at the age of 16 and suddenly practically overnight became an adult. But yeah. Patrick Lemire says, if Film Threat had a festival, do you think it would be subverted eventually? I'm not sure. I mean, we do an award show and we have like movies that, some might consider woke and movies that some might consider leaning more conservative because I want to bring people together. So what I'm trying to do with this trial, I'm trying to get people to talk to each other and stop vilifying people you don't know, people you don't have any experience with. It's weird because Hollywood used to champion the blue collar worker. Used to do that. What happened? What happened to Hollywood? A freaking IKEA chair. Hollywood used to champion the blue collar worker. Movies like Norma Ray, remember, with Sally Field? Hollywood used to, make honorable professions, all types of professions. And now Hollywood is filled with elitist a-holes that look down upon working people. And not just Hollywood, in the political sphere. It's bizarre to me.
In the news media.
In the news will look down upon people. And it's disgusting to me. And I'm done with it. I'm done. Anyone that supports the division that is continuing to calcify in this country, I am against that. I am against. If you are a fellow American, I hope that we have many shared values. And one of those should be freedom of speech. This insane overreaction to Trump being Trump on a CNN town hall, get over it. This is what free speech is. Get over it. He can say whatever crazy shit, and you are free to think about that how you think. But my God, he should be allowed to speak, as many others should. So I am against our politically charged time. I feel like it is a trend. I feel like a lot of what do they call NPCs? People that have the inability to think for themselves. That is, you are not just taking what is fed you at face value. You actually take the time to think for yourself. Think for yourself just a little bit. Take it a little bit further and think for yourself. Because I do not agree with the pathway we're going down with so much division, whether it be by gender or ethnicity. I loathe it. I loathe it. And unfortunately, I've seen people I thought I knew who were smart people get caught up in this kind of thinking, and it's disgusting. So that's the end of my rant. Alan, do you have anything to add?
I mean, I'll just say people have, the question came up today, how much does my Christianity influence this? It does and it doesn't. That's my moral standard. That's how I view life and the way the world works. But in terms of, how I view a person's opinions, thoughts, and feelings, which is basically what these movies are, we've got to be able to allow our thoughts, our morals, our guides to life, that we have to allow them to be challenged. And that's what movies do. It challenges it. And it will do one of two things. Either make your position stronger, or it will make you rethink your position and wonder, maybe I'm taking a too much of a hard line, and maybe there's a nuance there that I'm not seeing. And that's why I love movies. That's why I like watching movies about human stories, about humanity. You will get that as we review more movies. The more you talk about what it means to be human, what it means to be a person, what it means to struggle through life, those are the movies that I'm attracted to, and those are the movies that I promote and recommend. And so that's kind of my feeling of where things are. But in terms of, the idea that we can shut that down is abhorrent to me. I am a big defender of the First Amendment. I think I could go as far to say so is Film Threat. If you have something to say, you have every right in the world to say it. And I have every right in the world to question it, to challenge it, or to embrace and accept it. That's what makes us stronger as a society, and that's what makes us stronger as people. So there you go. Soapbox done.
Well, I love how you put that, Alan. And I'll say on Film Threat, we have a diverse group of writers. And by diverse, I mean diversity of thought. And there are writers who I don't necessarily agree with their politics or their takes, and I want them on Film Threat. I want their views represented. And the one we all get along really well, actually. It's bizarre. I think I would credit this book I read called The No Asshole Rule. I thought was a great book, a great sort of wonky. I like to read like wonky books that kind of give you business advice. And that was one of my favorite ones. And we seem to get along really well, everyone at Film Threat, in spite of the fact that people are on different ends of the political spectrum and we disagree on things. And you know what? We come together to talk about movies. And Alan, I just wanted to just emphasize what you said by when it comes to free speech, Alan lets his freak flag fly.
We all need to do that. We all need to take our shirts off, grab a pair of plungers, and make music together.
We haven't seen that video in a long time. I just thought it was like after that, like really serious, like heartfelt speech. I thought, well, we have to show Alan's boobs there.
Yeah, just last comment, but I'll say this: if you look at the nominees for award this from the last several years, you could not peg us politically.
No, you couldn't even peg us.
Yeah.
But we have some more comments. But for those of you watching on Rumble that might not be familiar with us, we are Film Threat. We cover the big movies in theaters, but we also cover small independent films you may not have heard of. And there were some recommendations today. Squaring the Circle documentary. I suggest you seek out the movie Blackberry, worth seeing as well. But our reviews, there's only one way to describe our reviews.
Holy fucking shit, these reviews are delicious.
You can actually drink in the Film Threat reviews, and we appreciate it. Matthew Hammond for $4.99 says, I would recommend Alan watch Big George Foreman. I enjoyed it and would like to know what he thinks about it.
Yes, I would like to see it. The problem is my theaters, they show it at 10:30 in the morning. And, that's the only screening of Big George Foreman that I can see.
I saw I feel like the trailer tells you the whole movie.
Yeah.
It looks like a movie that probably should be on streaming. No disrespect. I think we'll get to it and review it eventually, but I like his inspiring story. I like his story. Even they include the grill in there. I love that. Let's see. More comments here. The Nerd Far Away. I like finding what I have in common with someone before finding where I differ. Yeah, I love that. I don't know. It's something like maybe I just naturally learned from my family because my grandparents practically co-parented. I was raised by a single mom, but my grandparents were always around weekends with my grandparents. I learned so much from them. They could start a conversation with anyone. My grandma, my grandparents, they just loved people. And they would just start a conversation and suddenly we're waiting in a grocery line for 5 minutes. They're best friends with some person that's not like my grandma at all. And she just loved to talk. And I feel like I kind of inherited that through osmosis. We kind of learn based on like how the people in our lives, especially when we're young, like how they act towards people. And if you're filled with hate and division, that will rub off on kids. Kids are very, very, they're very amenable to influence, good or bad. So how you act in front of kids is important.
Oh, and I'll tell you, I mentioned before, both my parents were in industries that were predominantly white in the 60s. That was their jobs. And my entire life, I've never heard my parents ever complain about white people. And that carried over into me and my brothers. You know, we just don't have this hatred for people that everyone else seems to have, or demands that we have.
I think that's
I learned it from my parents. I'm saying
it's an unfortunate thing that kids can learn. It's an unfortunate thing that kids can learn, which is to despise someone that doesn't look like them. I'm shocked. Like, I thought we were kind of over this. By the time we got to the 90s, it's like, not that everything is solved, but it was better. And I don't remember having so many conversations that were divisive. So
I mean, I would much rather grow up today than I did in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's so much better today. 1,000 times better today. Red Terror 1978 says, Alan's family ran cocaine. You would be surprised about what my family has done. That's another story.
The Nerd Far Away goes on to say, said it before and I'll say it again, Chris and Alan nailed it today. Well, thank you for that. Lubitch Touched Me says, treat all people as individuals and not part of any community and you will be fine. Mm-hmm. Agreed. Yeah. When they try to divide people, like, well, the gay community thinks this. Do they? The Asian community thinks this. Do they? Do they all think the same way? Politicians want to do that more than anything. Mm-hmm. Sifax says, Sifax, always love hanging out. Couple of beers at the sushi stop. Go to meetups and you'll be surprised how many people you'd probably not have interacted with share a lot in common. Yeah, for sure. That was fun last night. It was more fun hanging out after than the movie. The movie last night was terrible. Pirate Queen, Chris using that Marvel humor again. What Marvel humor? Alan's breasts? Alan's bare chest? Patrick Lemire, I feel like Film Threat and Joe Bob Briggs could put together a great festival. Joe Bob is a brand unto himself. He doesn't need my help or whatever. Like, the problem with me always is I have more good ideas than I have time to. I have more ideas of things I'd like to do than time to execute them. But look, if you want to be a part of Film Threat in some way and help manifest something into reality, we could do a Film Threat festival, couldn't we? But Alan and I probably, other than consultation, probably not something we could. That's a lot of work. Putting on Award This, which is like a 2-hour show, that's a lot of work, Alan. Am I right?
Yeah.
We have to start working on it, by the way. It's
by the way, I got invited to the premiere of The Blackening, but I don't live in New York. But that's a movie I really want to see.
I can't wait to see The Blackening. That looks hilarious.
I would have loved to have gone to the premiere.
I looks hilarious, and you know what? Not diverse. The Blackening is not diverse, and I can't wait to see it. It's like a horror comedy. Yeah. And
who's the bad guy? Maybe who is the bad guy? Maybe it is diverse.
Oh, that's true. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Shucksy says, I sent you a self-addressed stamped envelope, Chris. Oh, I have it in a box. I have it. I only check my mailbox like once or twice a month now. Shucksy, I got it. You got some new stickers on the way. I will do that. Aaron Burleson, threat level 2, has been a member for 8 months. Says 8 months, hot dog. Well, thank you for that, Aaron. We appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you to all our mods. Lord Thoth, Latino Slant, I appreciate you. I know I missed it the other day, Lord Thoth. Look, trying to juggle a lot here, but what I appreciate about the chat keeps us honest. If I don't know an album cover, you'll call me out. I'm cool with it. I know a lot about like all this little certain minutia, and then there's some things where I'm sort of casual, fan of. Tiberius Gracchus II, as soon as you play the quote victim card, you instantly admit you're not responsible for your actions/decisions, and others have that much control, power over you. Shake my head sad. That is the thing. Once you become a victim or position yourself as a victim, you are admitting that other people have power over you. You will not have power over me. I will not be a victim. You should not position yourself. Victim is weakness. Victim means other people have power over you. Thank you for saying that, Tiberius Gracchus II. Thank you for that. And with that, we had not as, we've got like a little over 400 people watching today. More for Critics Court. Critics Court returns next week. 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern. Critics Court will continue. I have so many people that want to be on the show. We will be debating charge number 2 on that episode. It's going to be a lot of fun. So join us for that. And also a week from today, we will be back. We'll be reviewing Fast X along with a couple of other films.
Am I seeing you Monday then?
I am seeing a different film. I'm seeing Fast X on Thursday. I am seeing a different film on Monday.
I'll be seeing Fast X on Monday.
Okay. I'm going to go to a different screening of it, but we'll talk about it on Friday. I don't think anyone really cares about spoilers from Fast X, unfortunately. But that wraps it up for us today. Alan, what do you got coming up?
Oh, just we got lots of reviews. I've got lots of reviews up on filmthreat.com. A lot of indie films. We have our Blackberry review up there as well. And I'll be in San Diego a week from tomorrow and the following week. So last 2 Saturdays of this month.
Cool. And then Caesar, what do you have coming up?
Humans, why are you not reading Film Threat magazine? You filthy humans, you should know your place, and your place is to be reading this magazine. Yes?
If you're new to the channel, please subscribe.
Oh, wow.
Slap that subscribe button, click the bell for notifications. We appreciate it. And we will be back next Wednesday for Critics Court, next Friday for our regular Film Threat livecast, telling you about all the films opening in theaters. Alan, take us out.
Let's get out of here.
Oh, one last thing. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you to everyone in the chat. Okay, Alan, can you do it again?
let's get out of here.